I'm just trying to get through this cutscene, and then I will be free.
Yes. Well, so the people at home aren't waiting with bated breath because I've had the stream live but muted for two minutes. We're reactivating the mics.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, technically I'm late still. Sorry, chat. Not that anybody I think was watching it because I scheduled it at like 6:45. At 6:45.
It's not even 5 for me yet. I'm sorry.
I know, but like I said, I scheduled it for like 6:45. At 6:43 because I just got out of the shower. I had to schedule some shower time. Honestly, I probably could have taken a little bit longer.
I got hour 30, so we're probably fine.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure to run it a little fast so that you could be here for probably the majority of the stream. You've got another thing scheduled in a little bit, and you'll have to go.
I will say that...
Do not stick around on our account.
I'm probably available next week, and then after that, I have no idea, actually. But we'll see.
We'll take it as it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to get a hot shower earlier.
It just means I'm not going to show up on Cube days, unfortunately.
It's okay. We cube like once a month anyway. But yeah,
a different cube thing, and I'll fucking try.
Just what I was saying was that Kazax, you may or may not remember this, but my shoulders have been really stiff since Sunday night. So I was like, okay, we're still a little stiff. I gotta take like a hot shower and relax it out. We're not perfect. I probably could have soaked a little longer.
I'm used to always just being allergic, like full of allergies and whatnot. So like, I don't think I remember you saying that specifically.
I mentioned it a couple times, but it was a busy session.
You're usually tired because we just keep going till like midnight to like 1 sometimes.
It's no big deal. I am allergic though, but that's not a problem because I finally, I spent my $10 for 360 fucking allergy pills. I have to do once a year, but they work, so we're good.
Alrighty,
all that's fine. But stream's going. Thanks for tuning in. I see Zed's in there. We're going. If anybody does hear a little bit of background noise, that is, I don't know if you will hear it clearly on stream because I have Master Duel music in the background as well. But Vesper is speedrunning a cutscene in Portrayal.
I'm trying my best.
It's okay. We've all been there.
Okay, I think we're done. I think I'm done.
I think like
God, what was it? You do patch content.
Yeah, we can schedule some stuff probably.
But
I know you moved worlds, but we might be able to gather a gang.
Yeah,
but yeah,
well, I can always hop back over to Ultima. I'm pretty certain. Like
realm
travel is pretty easy to do now, at least.
I don't think you could transfer out of the bracket you're in.
No, you can. I've definitely traveled to a different data center. You have to do it at the login screen, basically.
Oh, okay. I guess internally it has to be the same.
There are some things they've done, but yeah, you can move around pretty freely still. It would require a little bit of planning, but we could work it out. But yeah, trust me, I understand. I was because I was doing it on stream, I was the slowest one at clearing MSQ mostly when the X pack dropped. So I was like, okay, we're going back to double streams. I need to stream 2 days a week. We need to go.
Honestly, for me, it's also just because it's like, as you can see, I'm a very busy person because I think I keep wanting to do things.
Yes, you are a fast scheduler. But yeah, we're going to talk about some Yu-Gi-Oh! Today. We're going to save Final Fantasy for tomorrow, where hopefully I will have it set up so we can jump straight to Hildebrand and Occult Crescent. Because I spent a decent chunk of my afternoon working towards unlocking the new Mamulja Allied Society, and I'm not quite done with that quest line before I had to get
I did all those side quests, but yeah.
It takes a little while. It's fun, but they got a few.
I did those a long time ago, but I just do all those side quests all the time anyway. But
well, no, I think the ones to actually unlock are new, because I don't think I saw the blue quests until I was in Yaktel today.
Alright, I guess I gotta go do...
Yeah.
I guess I'll do it today, but I don't want to. So do it tomorrow, I guess, because I don't feel like...
We might do it tomorrow. We'll see what we're doing. But yeah, there's new field ops, there's a new couple Hildebrands, and yeah, we've launched our second allied tribe, and it is the Gatherers one, so... Won't that be fun, everybody?
Okay, Gatherers. That'll be a good way to get me my leaves, because I'm trying to get my crafters all leveled up, because apparently I need 7.5 million gil for the mount I wanted.
Yeah, no, I'm a little surprised you hadn't heard that already, but yes, if you want the flying bike, you need 7.5 million gil straight up. It was a challenge for most of us.
I think I paid it, and I think I've still been feeling it the whole time, but I'm not actually sure if I did or just did something.
I mean, I
stupid.
haven't
forget.
tried to farm Gil as hard as I did to get them out, but I think that, like, that was the single highest amount of Gil I had was the 7.5 to buy it. It was a little more, but, you know, since I started the fucking game, like, 2 years ago, and my finances have still not fully recovered. I'm still at, like, 4 mil.
I mean, that bike, I think, is just to, like, cut
I'm
down the
way
economy.
there with like just under 6 mils, so it shouldn't be terrible. But I need to get my crackers and gatherers power level.
You also just got. I mean, you got the moon now, and the other ways to do it now. So yeah.
Well, the moon's not a great way to level. You still get way more EXP doing.
No,
lead
it's fair. It's
quests
probably a
and,
better way.
like,
I guess
trials.
it's a. Yeah, the moon's okay if you're trying to get like 90 to 100, but outside of that, it's not the greatest.
The moon? What are we talking about? Like,
Oh, you don't know about Cosmic Exploration? That was last patch, last month. You can go to
no,
to the moon.
I have zero information about any post-patch content. I have not heard a single thing about Dawn Trail. I was just like, aside from like, oh, a few people, I'm like, I've heard like various opinions of like the overall like X-Pack, but I was sort of like,
But
never
yeah,
really.
if you
I guess
return to the Best Ways Burrow, you will be able to check in with your good friends, the Lomporets. Actually, I think you got to start it in Old Charlian first. But they are currently everybody is working on improving the moon, and then eventually we're gonna go to other places.
It's starting restoration again. Okay.
Yeah, basically, it's a little better, but yeah, it's. I think actually nobody's in the fucking.
I wonder if
anymore.
the rate. I wonder if the rates are gonna get better once.
I never actually did restoration. I just never got around to doing it too much, like when I was playing. But I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fun rewards. There's a couple of glams you can get. There's some music that's really good. There's an emote you get for it. So and it is how you get your relic tool for this X-Pack. So there's reason to get into it. I need to like grind a little bit of like Firmament content because there's some like exclusive glams and other items that are only in it.
I will
figure that out later.
I'll say one last thing, and then we will get back to our Yu-Gi-Oh talk. I'm still so mad the Gyro Gear was locked behind PvP. PvP is terrible.
It's still around at least.
I will accept zero alternatives. PvP is the devil in MMOs.
I mean, I don't think that 14s is the worst, but if you did ever want to just not be like, nah, fam, that's also fair. Chad did ask if, because the full drop of the Final Fantasy MTG stuff is the 6th of next month. Let me pull up my calendar and see what day of the week that is.
The 6th would be a Friday.
Yeah, so the following week, we could take a look at everything.
I would
If
definitely
Dallas
want to
isn't busy
glance
doing
through
it.
because I have been playing a lot of Commander with friends lately. Also discovering my friends are assholes.
What do you
Of
think
course,
about the games being like that?
the byproduct when let's see, how did you phrase it on our Discord? When you create a commander polycule, you
Yeah.
discover that some of your friends inevitably are assholes. We could, I mean, we are for sure. I don't know if it'll exactly be that week after stream, but I absolutely want to take a gander.
It will definitely be easy to do because of Untap, which like I think I mentioned before, like it's
I've been
just
enjoying it, yeah.
platform.
Yeah.
The only issue would come down
Could
to
be if I can grab.
learning the manual, like
Yeah.
the manual bits and pieces of keys, like the
If I
hotkeys.
can,
and all.
I'll have to try and like. I don't know if he
I
will
think
be
in
free, but I
browser.
should try and see if I can
Caleb-
grab Dallas for such a thing too, because he is actively
Might
back
actually-
in physical Magic the Gathering this season. Like he's gonna be going to the release events for the new sets.
I probably will too because the store that my friend got me into buying physical shit is expanding and is going to be start doing events. So hopefully
Well, and you
they'll
should
doing
always be
more
supporting
later.
your friendly local gaming store. I will say also, just as a brief other thing, we won't dwell on it too long, especially because we don't have a huge audience, but you may have heard that there is some stuff going on with TCG Player right now. If you didn't know, a couple years ago, their, what do they call it? Appraisement or fulfillment center, like the actual physical place where TCG Player handles stuff. They decided to form a union a couple years back, and then TCG Player and their parent company, eBay, if you didn't know that TCG Player is straight up owned by eBay, just stonewalled them for 600 days, have closed the fulfillment center, and according to reports, have been sending security to, like, follow and harass people. So, not a great look.
And what are they? Wizards of the Coast?
Yeah, I know. They did, at least as far as I know, they did not hire infamous union busters, the Pinkertons, to do anything. But
I was about to
it's
make
not
that
a great
joke, yeah.
look. It's not a great
But
look.
it's
so,
really, it's very not.
So keep your eyes and ears open. I say that as a person who technically I not anytime recently, but I have been a registered seller and have sold cards on TCG Player. Back when I cracked cardboard, I've you know.
I mean,
I've
it's like
sold
card
through
market if you live in the EU, you know.
I was too. It becomes a super easy way to just make an extra little money on the side with your TCG gig. All you need to do is get some stamps, really.
Yeah, and if you're selling something of like higher value, you need a decent envelope, but it pays for
Different
itself.
stamps or
But yeah,
or whatever.
it's a whole thing. So keep your eyes peeled on that one. I've seen several members of the Yugi tubing sphere talk about it. I think MBT put out a short already about it.
Yeah, I only saw it because of a short the other night when I was out of town. I only just got back in town yesterday.
Yeah. But what we will actually be talking about in the Yugi sphere is Darklord. We're using this to follow up because we did Sanctuary in the Sky / Parshat /
This 3-hour stream is going to be about
Fairies.
dissecting trap card Deal of a Traveler, as you can see on the screen.
Yeah, I don't know why this is called this. So this is a mat that they did. I don't know why it's called Ordeal of a Traveler, but it's got Big J and a couple of the Darklord cards on it.
It looks like Ordeal of a Traveler was just a thing.
Just like a season they named something for prizes or something.
Yeah, like I'm seeing an Isolde, I'm seeing a Ghost Ogre. Ordeal of a Traveler might have just been like what they were calling some like
I mean, it's a good
tournaments or whatnot. Yeah, I mean it
and
is.
a good card. Hey, by the way, you should watch this week's MasterChef. Everybody, if you haven't already, like if you drop the show for any reason, watch the new one. It's very good. And Ordeal of a Traveler's in it. That's not why it's good. But yeah, so Darklord's a really interesting archetype because in Japanese it's just called Da Tenshi, Fallen Angel, and you may be surprised when I pull up a couple of the first cards that are technically part of this archetype because they were originally printed as blah blah blah, the Fallen One. That's Mary the Fallen One, and Nurse Reficule was originally a Fallen One.
Also, minor side tangent.
Yeah,
apparently, you have to attend the 4 major European YCSs to get this mat.
Oh, well, that's cute.
Yeah, so it's literally a mat for people who travel and go to the major YCSs in Europe, which is neat. It's cute.
Yeah, that is cute. What Konami is trying to imply by making the logo on that Solemn Johnson and Lucifer himself? Don't know. Don't read into that too much, chat.
Worry about it.
But yeah, so the Dark Lords are Dark Fairies, like I said. There were a couple of entries that were in the Fallen One category. So it seems like that's originally where Upper Deck's head was at to localize this. But when we got to Phantom Darkness, we got Dark Lord Zerato, which we talked about last time.
Yeah, and it could easily have just been like, how do we want to like localize, like translate this name? Oh, Dark Lord. Sir, there've already been like several cards with this they named it.
And of course, because it was Phantom Darkness, they were like, who cares? Nothing could ever happen from. Anyway, the next phase of Dark Lords was they released a bunch of them as promo cards. In the OCG, they were V-Jump promos, and they were localized as promos for tournaments, and I think some Shonen Jump promos as well, in like the right around 2010. Those cards aesthetically have almost nothing to do with the previous or future cards, other than they are big fucking dark fairy monsters, which is the thing this archetype is mostly known for. Because in the set Destiny Soldiers, which was kind of a duelist pack, but kind of not. It did have Astra Phoenix on the cover and had a shitload of Destiny Hero support. But they decided to put a bunch of new Darklords in there. And you may think to yourself, Omega, why on earth would they put new Darklords and, like, make them a real archetype in a set that has anime characters because it was Destiny Hero and Abyss actors? Well, guess what? In the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX manga, which is why they were originally promo cards, there's a character who plays Darklords.
And by Darklord, we mean one, I think. Like, she just plays Nurse Burn.
Well, no, there was the Nurse Burn in the anime, but no, in the manga there is a girl who actually plays. Yeah, in the GX manga there is. That's where Asmodeus, Desire, Superbia, etc. are all from. That was there. So
who plays the Darklord
her name is
manga?
Midori Hibiki.
Midori? Huh. Oh,
I don't know like how.
It's the what's the guy's name? The Slifer Red Dorm. She's the analog for that in the manga, I believe.
Yeah. So like it was technically like a manga archetype that was involved in GX, but like I said, the new stuff is basically doing something completely different. And then Konami did it again when in around 2020. They released a whole another batch of like half a dozen Darklords, many of whom are doing something completely different from the old Darklords.
Ixchel and the like, right?
No, Ixchel is part of the 2016 block, but that's like Capricious, Indulged, Condemned, the Link to. Also, they didn't get their fusion until 2020, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So like the new stuff, the 2020 stuff, plays a lot better with the 2016 stuff, but is also like, oh shit, we have to diverge from the thing this deck was doing previously because they're not doing anything. We have to give them an extra deck. Oops. So yeah, it's a little crazy. So you're going to see some wild stuff tonight, chat. But let's start with the classics. Let's pull up the original Mary the Fallen one, as I always remember her. But now Darklord Mary.
I always forget if they're tied to like Condemned Witch or more of like she's just totally paralleled.
No, she does because she becomes Condemned Darklord. Yes, basically, the Darklords are fallen angels, and the heaven they are fallen from is the solemn/forbidden place. Because Condemned Condemned Witch. Or Forbidden Witch becomes Condemned Witch becomes Condemned Darklord, as it were. So yeah, there's like honestly, there is a whole reason for all that.
I guess the banishment is like I always think it is like I thought it was meant to be like the dark dimension or more of like the different dimension. And I guess it's also literally I guess the Kabbalic heaven.
I mean, yeah, she's literally been kicked out of heaven.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those like look, Darklord Mary was made well before half of, like, I believe, like, well before any of the nonsense cards describing the Sanctuary in the Sky, Heaven, every other variation of it. Like, these lores, mythos are all...
She was printed in Labyrinth of Nightmare, so I'm pretty sure, like, Solemn Judgment did exist, but I don't think we had even Forbiddens yet, you're right.
This just makes me think about... Black Maria, which is like an occult thing. I just can't remember the actual context behind it.
I mean, this is just a classic Yu-Gi-Oh thing, Marie the Fallen one, the Fallen Angel Mary. She is indeed dark. Also, by the way, this is technically they did quote unquote censor this card art in the original OCG. She has
devil horns.
Yeah, clear as devil horns, and also has a cross on the back of her hand.
Yeah, I believe it looks like she was on some random card in the GX anime.
She was also in the original Duel Monsters run.
Oh. Right. Okay, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh and GX. Okay, she was in both.
Yes. And that's because I think semi-infamously, this is one of the two fusion materials, along with the Forgiving Maiden, who is another card art that I think is not just censored, but like super altered because she's a fucking nun in the OCG.
Yeah.
Literally the Forgiving Nun.
You fuse them
Saint
to make
Joan.
Joan of Arc.
Which is also really weird, but that was kind of like,
Because-
yeah?
I say it's weird how I feel like Joan of Arc comes back as a fucking as a corporate demon. She comes back as a devil.
Well, yeah, no, I mean,
That was
the
just Yu-Gi-Oh!
the DDDs and DDs, I think, have a, like, they have a consigned theme that they are named after, like, famous heroes, basically, famous kings and warriors. Like, they have Gilgamesh in there, you know. They've got a Siegfried, you know, so they did Joan, etc.
Plus, they're also
I think there might be an Arthur. There's a Beowulf.
I'm pretty
for
sure there is.
There's a Siegfried.
Yeah, there's definitely a Siegfried. So, like, it's basically one of those things of, like, if you pull up FGO's character roster and you pull up the list of DDDs, you're going to see a shitload of overlap because, you know, that's what the DDDs are all named for. So it is, like, a little weird that they decided to do DDs.
I mean,
Yes,
the latest,
Dragon King Pendragon, which is the dragon.
That's right.
Yeah, right. The latest DDs I think actually references directly to the Arc 5 characters.
I mean,
mean,
some of them, but plenty of
feel
them
like-
are also still, like, Clovis is just, we're talking about the Clovis culture, you know? Like, a lot of them are still named for historical and mythological figures.
I thought the 4 like suits ones were like really based off Reggie's family.
I think there's only one that's named that's themed after Reiji / Declan. If you're a dub Philistine, I
meant like also
The dub names are
all the
terrible.
siblings too. Yeah.
I don't
I don't-
remember
we only
how
had one. We only had the
suits work.
one.
They probably had to fill in a little bit of other stuff, but yes, there is a card called in the GX anime the Disgraceful Charity, which it has Fallen Mary on it with her original look, where she's got like a trident on her forehead and horns. Honestly, I think this card hasn't been printed in real life, but we should fucking print this trap card because it's stupid and
It's
doesn't
really
do anything.
funny.
Because Disgraceful Charity says each player can add all cards that were discarded by spell effect this turn from their graveyard to their hand. You don't need to do that because decks that need to recycle do that anyway, but that's funny. We should print this card.
It's a
Basically,
funny trap card that definitely won't ever cause problems if we print it.
Like same like Smoke Grenade, you know?
Well, Smoke Grenade was always a hand rip card. It was just one of those moments of like the getting your ability to destroy it on demand was tougher back in the day. But yeah, Darklord Mary, so she's appeared in the classics. That's another thing that honestly I'm kind of surprised we've never like dug up and tried to rework. We built fucking Duke Devlin's weird ass dice cards from the virtual dimension now. With the actual like field spell and dimension dice and shit. Like, I'm kind of shocked we haven't done a Saint Joan and like Forgiving Maiden retrain. And then you dog ass in a Red Eyes line for no reason because it's Serenity's cards.
Or like tie in, I guess, something like Heavy Metal King.
Well, that's something that I actually tweeted about that several weeks ago, but they should fucking release Heavy Metal King because that canonically exists, at least in the anime only, and it's the perfect setup for a Metal Morph card because you just say that it has to be summoned by tributing a level 5 or higher spellcaster, which is what the original Musician King is. So there you go. You've got a new Metal Morph card, everybody. Easy as pie. Come on.
Metallica
yes.
Morph. Sure, we can call it that.
That also, you could probably do that. But yeah, there's plenty of room for, like I said,
If
I
you're
think
gonna
Metal
get away
Morph
with it,
needs
why
a
not then?
couple more monsters. Need a couple more monsters because really the only thing they do is they set up 1 negate and burn, 1 burn, and 1 pop. And Metal Zoa X can only pop monsters. So I guess Heavy Metal King should pop spell traps or something. Please give me... Konami, you either need to stop printing trap cards and spell cards that do stuff on the field, or you need to give every deck a fucking back row pop, please. I hate it when I'm playing a deck and I'm like, oh, my opponent's playing dog-ass cards I can't get rid of. I fought somebody on ladder the other day playing, like, Performapals, and they had the Performapal continuous spell card that says, first time your Performapals would be destroyed by battle or card effect, they aren't. Take no battle damage. And I'm like, okay, well, that's really annoying because I'm going to have to use, like, 4 attacks to get rid of this. Why? Why do I not have the power in Archetype to remove spell traps? Please. But yes, Darklord Mary is kind of a famous card because I think she shows up in a lot of like the old janky like GBA games and stuff. She is the only member of the Darklords who is, I think, a fiend.
I believe the rest are all dark fairies because Reficule, they do make a fairy just because it's Lucifer. Like it's if you can't tell, it's just Lucifer backwards.
Yes. Which gets even funnier later when they just print Darklord Lucifer the front way. They didn't translate his name as that, but that's him. That's Darklord Morningstar.
Lucifer the long
way. Also the first Darklord, yeah.
Well, I think that guy's actually called the first Darklord when they named him later. But the card called Darklord Morningstar in the OCG is just Darklord Lucifer. The Japanese have no.
Of the Morningstar.
Yeah, the Japanese have no problem printing that shit on a card and selling it to children.
As an SMT guy, they really like having Lucifer around in different form. There are at least, I think, 2 different games where Lucifer is a lady who is a mother of a character tied to the protagonist.
But yeah,
so Darklord Mary is a 5. Yeah,
it's a 5, 17, 12. Not really crazy stats, but it was 04. That's just kind of what it was.
Yeah.
And no, it was 03. My bad.
Yeah, it was early.
It's
got
if it's in your
very
graveyard.
Funny text print. Yes.
Yeah. If it's in your graveyard, every time it's in your graveyard, every standby phase you gain 200 life points.
Yeah, during your standby phase, you gain 200 LP. This has PCST on it because it got reprinted in 2016 in Destiny Soldiers. I feel like the PCST actually is longer than it needs to be. It reads, once per turn during your standby phase, you can't... no, sorry, it's not even you can. It is a mandatory. You gain 200 LP. This card must be in the graveyard to activate and resolve this effect. If this card was retexted in like 2020, you could write that so much simpler.
The original wording isn't even that imparsable. It's just PCSTing it because it's as long as the card's in the graveyard, increase your life points by 200 points during each of your standby phases, which is
that's technically the first errata. The original printing in Labyrinth of Nightmare said, as long as this card exists in the graveyard, increase your life points by 200 during each of your standby phases.
That's cute. That's cute.
They have a lot of really, like, that's the thing about pre-PCST is the language wasn't standardized, so you get a lot of weird, like, text in there. The main thing is just that they cut the exist, and, like, they simplified it, but they didn't even simplify it all the way because, like, graveyard is still graveyard, right? It's not GY yet, but LP is LP. So, like, they could probably errata it again to PCST it back and just say, once per turn during your standby phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you gain 200 LP. And
also,
just,
I think
that's
we
fine.
probably should stop. We've only got the first card, so maybe we should...
Yeah.
There's... We're vamping, but we're going adjacently, which is relevant.
But there was a lot of lead up to this. The big one that everybody remembers and may not realize was a Darklord because, like I said, Mary the Fallen one was an oddball. Like she was a very niche card in some life gain stall strats. Because I think Mary is one of the first card that's like, oh, I'm never summoning this card. The whole point of this card is to go in my graveyard, you know? Especially because that's a, even errated, that's a soft once per turn. So, if you put 3, you're gaining 6, you know? So, like, I remember there were some, like, old school, like, life stall strats you would get in.
Yeah, I mean, like, 200 is nothing crazy, but even if you're doing like some kind of like wall of light stall, having a handful of these cards in your deck that if you can consistently get them into the grave, easy.
Well, it's the kind of thing that like you would combo with shit like Solemn Wishes, you know, stuff like that. Like you would play multiple of these just steady life gain cards. So like it was known but wasn't very good. Reficule, on the other hand, is a case of like a card that is very iconic, has a very long-standing like purpose, but also was really rare because back in the day she was a video game promo.
Yeah, she's one of those cards that there will always be little cards like this. Like if you don't know what Reficule does, Reficule is the linchpin of a deck called Nurse Burn. Reficule's effect makes effects that make your opponent gain life points deal damage to them. So it turned every random shitty card that says give your opponent like 3,000 life points for some reason. That card now kills them.
Yep.
So if you
gift
upstart,
card becomes a 3K burn. Yeah, upstart's a 1K.
Upstart's a 1K that makes you draw. That's insane. What do you mean?
There's a lot of other cards that do that. Make your opponent gain life points as cost.
It's like No Hope for Escape or something, I believe. It's like a very niche trap card that's like, oh, pick like something random cards in your extra deck, and
that's try and guess.
Try and guess,
or maybe Doors to Destiny.
I
think it's a coin flip one, but that's another one that's like
I enjoy just the design because it's like she's just full bandages, but she also like looks like she just looks like a Takahashi manga character.
Yes, this is a Mary is also Mary looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh card, but she looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh card in the way that like you're like, ah yes, somebody had to draw 50 of these. Reficule looks a lot more like an actual Yu-Gi-Oh character, like Axe was saying. Her hair is knives, but it's also, yes, it's very Yu-Gi-Oh hair.
Her hair is 100% a beta design for Shark.
That too, actually.
That's also, yeah. But it's also, like, literally full of, like, blades. She's covered head to toe in bandages.
It's like
she's also got a Batman brand
wings
belt.
make you think of, like, the Bolton part of, like, a cocoon.
Yeah, they are a little weird looking, but not in, like, a bad way. Like, it doesn't detract. You're just like, ooh. And yes, the way Nurse Burn works, if you do it correctly, is you just, pray you set a couple gift cards and your opponent dies.
Also, the fact that she has a skirt and the Rocker Girl belt, and then also like the armlets and the anklets, they're just basically Batwing axe blades.
Yeah, no, she's very punk rock. She's I wouldn't say goth, but definitely like got a punk aesthetic that is also very Yu-Gi-Oh, which works because she is also a fallen angel. Again, her name in the OCG is Datenshi Nasu Refikiru. So, Fallen Angel Nurse Reficule, which got flipped, the latest version as Darklord Nurse Reficule, was played, in like one-off episode by the school nurse in GX. Like, very funny little things she's got going on.
I feel like playing a Nurse Burn deck is kind of like just a fun thing to do if you had to be in the anime world of Yu-Gi-Oh. I feel.
Yeah, that
you just have all the fun, dumb, gimmicky cards that just like don't exist in real life.
Every random little section in that entire season when they're in like the Shadow Realm is buck wild, and I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there that's like very interesting stuff, and like I said, it's the kind of thing that like became iconic. We say Nurse Burn, and if you've got any Yu-Gi-Oh history, you'll remember like what a Nurse Burn deck run is. So yeah, she became very iconic. She's also a level 4 Dark Fairy. She's only got 1400 attack, but you'd have ways to protect her. But she's a normal summon as well, so it can be just as easy as normal summon, upstart, set 3. Game could be over.
It was one of those like rogue tier decks that could very easily just scum some wins.
Yeah,
because it doesn't even have to it doesn't even have to interact with what you do. It just has to draw the right. It just has to draw the right combo of cards.
Yeah. It's like kind of like the exact like the last turn FTK, where just like if you just draw the right 4 cards, you win instantly because there is nothing for your opponent to interact with. Like obviously these days you could do something like like in draw phase your opponent flips a gift card, you could like chain Imperm or something and like or Valor and turn off the nurse for a turn. which is why you probably don't see it anymore, because it's not like it's resilient to hand traps. But even then, there are going to be some decks where it's going to be like, hey, buddy, if you don't have Imperm exactly, you're dead. You can't, like, Ash Blossom, the card that gives you 3k life, or anything like that. I think in the TCG, Red Reboot is banned. So you can't, like, negate trap cards from hand. So, like, it's one of those things that just don't work. But also in GX, like I said, in the manga, they added a couple of extra guys.
It is banned.
Okay, it is banned. And this next set of the Darklords are kind of like there's not actually 7 of them, but I think they were supposed to be, leading up for the classic, big 7 demons that represent the 7 deadly sins. Yes, because our first guy is, let me see if I grab it correctly, is Darklord Asmodeus. Just Datenshi Asmodeus, there he is. We won't be recovering Darklord Zerato, by the way, because we did that last week. But he was in the break in between.
What he does.
He exists.
He's a guy.
Other than kind of like, I think, set the tone where these guys all got named Darklord, he doesn't really add a lot to the deck.
This guy feels more of like just like a traitor angel instead of like an actual demon kind of thing.
I think that is what they're kind of meant to be fair.
Well, yeah, I mean they are still fallen angels. Like, they are not, other than Mary, they are not fiends. So, we are still going with angel tropes, but we are more fallen. He's got kind of like
we will see more
skin, purpley wings.
We will see more Darklord cards that are just characters that have shown up in Solemn cards aside from the Condemned Witch, I believe. Yeah. Yeah,
there should be a couple. This is the manga GX cards are interesting. Like I said, that like they influenced the 2016 follow-up stuff, but do not directly like link up with it, and the aesthetics are different. These guys are drawn like they are basically, the colored-in panels of the manga where they showed up. Pretty simplified backgrounds. Just a guy like going like that.
The GX manga was early on where a lot of them were like that. You can even see it in the Masked Heroes.
Yeah.
Even with how late they happened.
Like, they just decided to redraw the art, so the aesthetics are going to be a little different. So this guy's a level 8 Dark Fairy, 3k attack, 2500 defense, same stats as a Blue Eyes. Cannot be special summoned from deck or graveyard. Very interesting supposition. So can be special from your hand. Once per turn, you can send one Fairy-type monster from your deck to the graveyard. That's it. It's a Foolish. If this card you control is destroyed and sent to your graveyard, special summon one Asmo token, Dark Fairy level 5, 1800 attack, and one Deus token, Dark Fairy level 3, 1212.
Okay, that's funny.
The Asmo token can't be destroyed by card effects. The Deus token can't be destroyed by battle.
That's actually kind of cute.
Yeah. So, like, I think this guy does technically, like, have the room to see Fringe play if he were making Darklord now. He can still be special from the hand. He is a once per turn Foolish Burial for fairies.
Oh,
God,
shit.
I can't imagine any fairy likes that.
The tokens have artworks.
Oh, do they have separate artworks? Let me check.
I'm sending them to you. They're
okay.
I got them.
I thought they were just generic, but if you got them, I'll show them on screen as well.
Most of the tokens
but, like,
do tend sometimes have like
okay, they do have
unique artwork, especially if they're named.
Yeah, so these
they're nothing too crazy, but
I'll put them side by side.
It is a cute look when you see his design. Yeah, because his wings are purple, so they split into red and blue.
And do notice that this is an old enough card that they do not say by your opponent's card effect. So if you find some way to then blow up this guy, you have 2 tokens. One guy becomes 2 tokens, kind of a thing, which is great for link material and stuff. I'm sure there's plenty of ways to arrange to, like, Foolish something and then blow him up and then have 2 tokens. So, like, I think Asmodeus makes it into some lists in kind of like the 2020-ish era. He's not a great card, but he's not a terrible card either. But look, you're gonna see, chat, kind of the requirements here. Big assholes.
I have seen better decks play worse cards to be that down bad for free link material.
Absolutely correct. Yes, we have played cards that are much shittier. All right, now I don't trivia wise, I don't know which, because like Asmodeus, that's a classic, Demon Lord, Demon King type guy. I forget what his ranks in the Ars Goetia is, but he's a big guy, you know, in charge of armies of hell and stuff. Big deal. Darklord Desire, which is another one you may have heard of. Who I'm gonna be honest, I'm looking at him. He looks a lot like he's just he should be an evil hero. I'm gonna be honest, or like an evil
he's
Captain
very
Falcon.
non-Euclidean, yes.
He's just like, he's got a weird mask. He's got some weird arm things, and I'm just like, it's still kind of like in the GX style. So I'm like, this should be an evil hero.
It's cool, but yeah.
I don't know what he's supposed to be representing in this case, because typically Asmodeus is lust. So I don't know if he's like greed?
Mammon.
Okay. I can see if he's supposed to be
kind of a reach, but I guess with the idea of like, oh well, desire is greed. Actually, no, is he Yoku? Oh no, he's just desire.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of like we're just guessing.
That could just be a translation of, well, desire is usually like yokubo, which literally can mean greed in Japanese. Yeah. So probably just reaching for a guess, but it doesn't seem off the mark.
Yeah. But Darklord Desire is another guy that you've seen in some weird jank deck lists. He's a level 10 Dark Fairy with 3k attack and 2800 defense. He can't be special summoned, period, but you can tribute summon him by tributing one fairy-type monster. And then, once per turn, you can target one monster your opponent controls. This card loses exactly 1,000 attack, and if it does, send that target to the graveyard. So, this was printed, by the way, the original printing was in, like, 2010? Let me just make sure.
I'm seeing 2011. Legendary
2011
Collection 2,
for the Legendary Collection 2. The
that's
promo version of it for the GX manga was
that's probably
what?
playable in weird
in
fairy brutes.
Yeah, sent to graveyard in, like, 2010, 2011. We'll say 2011 because that's when it became widely available. The manga promo was like 2010, I think. But, you know, then you got to be buying manga volumes. But, yeah, for a 2011 card, and basically, if you can keep him alive all those turns, you can do that 3 times because he's got, you know, 3,000 attack. It's pretty all right.
I mean, like, a 3K 1 tribute in 2010, 2011, it's not game-breaking. It's not going to, like, move the needle. But if you're playing a fairy deck, you're probably playing this guy because it's a 3K beater that can also just be deal with problems.
Yeah, because it is not destruction. It is, you know, send to grave, which is very
still
powerful.
Targets, but back then target protection was barely a thing.
And even then, like, it's one of those things of like you can still probably make that work.
Yeah.
So our next one is another one that's very weirdly named. This is Darklord Ede Are.
Cool.
Which is like kind of open-ended. So it could mean Arai as in wing, or rather ally with an L as wing. But if you put that in Japanese, it would be, you know, if you did the LR swap, Ide ally would be wing. But it could also be a phonetic pronunciation of Ira, like wrath. He looks a little angry.
I'm definitely thinking Ire, or I'm just gonna say Ire. But
yeah,
the Wikipedia is showcasing Are, females, Greek
mythological
curses.
That's
which
another
doesn't really fit with
But yeah, this guy could easily be Raph. He looks very angry. This guy's a very classic, you know, despite the fact that he's still a fairy, this guy's a very classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Fiend. You know, a demon. He's got, like, the horns. He's got a goofy face with some teeth. He's got huge hands.
Hands are so big.
They are so large. So big. His I think it could be a little bit of perspective fuckery, but I think in general his hands are about as big as his torso, which is crazy.
This is also more perspective fuckery. His back leg looks tiny compared to his front one, but that's definitely perspective of just it being bent at the exact wrong angle.
This is a card that, like, is just, especially again for like the time, probably pretty all right. This again was, a prize card and then was reprinted in 2011 in the Legendary Collection 2. He's a level 5 Dark Fairy with 23 attack, 2k defense. But if it's special summoned from the graveyard, he gains an effect, which is he gets piercing. That's it.
Give me a moment while I look at the tips page of this guy.
Uh-oh. What does the tips page
Special summon this
say?
card in the graveyard by using Athena, Call of the Haunted, the Dark Creator, the Creator, or Spear Crit.
Spear Crit? Yeah, I'm looking at it.
I mean,
What?
it works.
I mean, it does work, but it's so funny. You
Spear
can
Crit
also
is
get
like
Superbia.
most of these other cards are actually like, okay, I would actually play that in the fairy deck, but not Spear
Yeah,
Crit.
Athena no is good. Also, I love how the tips page is clearly made by the most down bad people for combos ever. These are the dual tainers of the world. Use Zombie World to make this card a zombie-type monster, allowing you to special summon it with cards like Book of Life and Mezuki.
I mean, it's not even that bad is the funny part.
I
Like,
mean,
it's not even the
it
worst.
absolutely functions, but also, if you are doing Zombie World to summon with Mezuki, you have some better shit to be doing, my guy.
Yeah, you
have
don't have
confusion, my
Ede
lord.
Ade. You don't have to worry about that guy.
But again, in this deck where, like, we just talked about it, Asmodeus sends to graveyard, they talk about how the next guy, Superbia, you can use to set up the play. Like, not terrible if you were running this kind of fairy deck. Now, obviously, like, if you're going to special summon a guy from graveyard, it's not going to be just so he gets piercing. But, like, they're working on some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, from looking at this original lineup of guys, none of these even seem terrible. Like, definitely not a cohesive deck circa 2010, but circa 2010, most of your decks were still just random little brews of stuff as opposed to a fully fledged archetype. Like
you would
had
not play
maybe
a
X
Dark
Saber and
Lord
shit.
deck. You would be playing a Dark Fairy deck, like a deck that bridges darks and fairies, probably. If that, you might just play them as a fairy deck that has darks and lights because chaos. I'm pretty sure by 2010 we would have had like the first dual terminal like packs.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
just those
glancing
would have been
through.
terrible.
Ancient Prophecy is circa like X Saber or circa 09 and stuff. So like early concepts of these, but also X Saber are not double X Saber, which are the I don't want to say the good ones, but they're the better one.
By this point, people would have played Gladbeast decks, and I think that was Gladbeast worked as like one of the first cohesive archetype decks, mostly because they just printed so many fucking of them.
Yeah,
like
Gladbeast.
That's
was
kind of the real
good
problem with a lot of
basically
early archetypes.
It was broken on accident, essentially. Like, it just happened to have the critical mass of cards to do things that, we can just, like, it was the first Cold Fusion deck for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Basically,
as I like to
do whatever.
Dub them.
And yes, this is Darklord Superbia. It's Mr. Cup. This guy looks like a fucking Bayonetta boss.
Yeah, Superbia, for those who don't know, is Pride, I believe, right?
Yes, literally Latin for
Wow, I'm
pride.
sure having a good time talking about Superbia.
It's a darkened Dicidoli, for however that lyric goes.
Yes, he's got he's got talons that are also hands because they're like below his face, but they're creepy. And he's a bird guy.
I hate that he has like a bowl on his head.
Yes, that he has a cup is not great. But no, this is another
He is the
big
Forbidden
ass
Chalice.
dark fairy.
This
Maybe he is the
fucking
Forbidden Chalice.
Dumbass angular chin.
Yeah, so this is another Dark Fairy level 8, 2900 attack, 2400 defense. But he has a good effect, so it works out. When this card is special summoned from the graveyard, target a fairy in your graveyard except Superbia, special summon it. This is another guy who got played a lot in just random fairy decks for years.
I've been told the chapter he's in, and that he might have other angles, so I have to find it for this guy.
All right, if you want to find some manga panels, we can check that out. But like,
I've been told this is the chapter, and I have the Shonen Jump app, so it's easy to find.
Superbia is like, again, we talked about that when we talked about Ida Are. Like, that does mean that if you revive Superbia, you can revive Ida Are to get his effect, and just other setups. And he is a decent extender. And again, if you were playing this as a deck, Asmodeus gives you a fucking once per turn Foolish Burial. Uh-oh.
Oh, it's gotten worse.
Uh-oh. No, I was like, you just said, oh, I'm like, oh, boy.
For some reason, apparently in the manga, the way this card revives things is he revives you out of the hole in his head.
No, they come out of the cup. No.
Jealous.
Yeah, here is...
Always overflows.
Better to drink the piss than drown in the piss? I don't know.
Here's just the full little panel spread of Asmodeus and Superbia being summoned. Which it is a separate angle this time. And it is just a chalice. Like, no, there wasn't stuff being hidden. He is just a cup.
Let's see if we copy that correctly. Copy image, let's try that again. Yeah, there you go. You can see him. And then I'll scroll up a little. Activate the effect. And it's summoning Ida Are out of the cup. He's just thooming right out of there.
She's just doing the full combo.
Yeah. No, that's... Yeah. So, no. So, yeah, he's just a weird cupman. But, yeah, so that was the original run of the 4. And so it's a little weird to me that, like, this is like the one time when Konami had a clear, like, archetype guideline, right? Like, they're doing fallen angels who represent the 7 deadly sins, kind of. That's not what they print next.
Yeah,
the remaining Dark Lords are a mix of, like, classical, like, goetic demons and also just, like, other guys. Spoilers, chat. You're gonna see Darklord Tezcatlipoca later. He's coming.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
like,
he's a god of darkness.
He is a god of darkness, but he's, like, he's not a fallen angel, though.
It's just like...
It's just a weird one.
Also, are they just putting in death gods and death and darkness gods in there, too?
I mean, yes, actually, I think so, because there's also a Darklord Nurgle. So they completely expound upon it. First, we do have Darklord Amdusk. And remember, we are now moving on from, like, basically, they came out as promos around, like, the late GX, early 5Ds era. We ran through all the manga cards. And then later, in 2016, in the height of Pendi era, Konami was like, oh, we're going to make this real. So this is Amdusk, which is they decided to shorten Amdusias. Amdusias is a goetic demon who has the head of a unicorn. So being an evil unicorn works.
It's just a dark unicorn.
Okay, I hate one. I hate that he has pecs. 2, I hate how they look.
Honestly, there's a lot of things wrong with this.
He's got the horns of, like, the spike crown.
Yeah, but also, the horn, his actual horn, is coming out of a metal thing that's ringed with teeth. He has a mouth for his horn, and his eye is also very weird. I think it's, like, sunken in, but it's weird. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's either it's sunken in or he has hella eyeshadow.
Either could be correct. So, like, this is an evil horse. This is an evil-ass horse. I do think this is the first time we get to see kind of, like, the Dark Lord seal, though. You know, with the arrows pointing to it and stuff down there. And he's also the first one to have that kind of, like, red Morningstar type halo. So, like, they have a consistent theme going on, but we do kind of, like, make up a bunch of new stuff. So Amdusk is a level 6 Dark Fairy. It's only got 1,800 attack, but 2,800 defense, which is pretty good for a 6.
Yeah. Like, stats at this point already, like, 2016 stats were already getting whatever the hell we felt like.
So, this card says you can discard this card and one Dark Lord, target a Dark Lord in your graveyard, add it back to your hand. During either player's turn, you can pay 1,000, target one Dark Lord spell trap in your graveyard, apply that target's effect, then shuffle that shit into the deck. You can use each effect once per turn, and you can only special summon Amdusks once per turn. I like that they have the parenthetical plural, so you could technically pendulum summon. Now, this is a pendulum deck, but it came out in the pendulum era, you know? You could technically pendulum summon 3 of these at once, but you could not, like, pendulum summon
separately.
1. Yeah. So, very weird conditions. But honestly, for 2016 game design, not a bad card. It is a big minus. Like, it's a -1 to get one out of the graveyard, but it gets him out of the graveyard. You have the ability to summon from graveyard anyway. And also, it's just general effect. Quick effect, pay 1k, activate one of your spell traps from your graveyard and shuffle it back. That is very creative game design. Like, there are modern spell and trap-based decks that would kill for that shit.
Even in archetypal, I'm not familiar with all the spell and traps on top of my head, but
I mean, I can tell you for a fact, like, give me that shit in Labyrinth, I will be killing people. They will be dead. I will be sending them to the bottom of the castle.
Here
they will
are
never
cards
return.
I'm looking through.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I've got them listed after we do the new round of monsters, so we'll look at most of them, I think, if we have time.
Is this? Okay. You might be able to negate a card with this.
It is a during either player's turn, so it's an inherent quick.
It's either player's turn. One of the trap cards you can send is a card that negates effects.
Yeah, so that lets you. I mean, obviously it has to be in your graveyard to activate, but
yeah.
So yeah, no, like this is a card who's like
graveyard.
Good.
Negate the effects, and if you do gain life points equal to the attack of the monster you've targeted, that makes up for the life cost even. It's silly.
So now let's talk about Darklord Ixchel. So first of all,
the big one, right? Like
yeah,
one of the big. That's one of the.
She's one of the important ones. I do want to say about her name. So this is very funny. Her original name in the OCG is Ishtumu, which should be Ixtab, who is the Mayan goddess associated with suicide. So they decided to change it to Ixchel, which is a different Mayan goddess, who is a goddess of medicine. So we were worried if kids Googled Ixtab, but we decided to just still use an actual Mayan goddess name. Okay, TCG department.
Hey, you know what? That's like that's the JoJo guys trying to rename stands and trying their hardest, right there.
Yeah, so Ixchel is another big one, and I'll tell you why. Spoilers, chat. She says draw 2 cards. She is a Dark Fairy level 10, 2500 attack, 2900 defense. Discard this card and 1 Darklord card, so you can discard spell traps. Draw 2. Quick effect. Pay 1k. Target a Darklord spell trap in your graveyard. Apply that effect. Shuffle that shit back. You can only use each effect once per turn. You can only special summon once per turn. Ixchel specifically, I should say. So yeah,
you are not wrong for thinking she looks like a Blue Archive character.
I mean, probably several of them will because they have. This is obviously way pre-Blue Archive, but they do have that kind of thing going on with their weird halos. She's got 6 wings, which is interesting. Honestly, a great fit. I'm kind of surprised this didn't get censored because she's got like, I guess it's because it doesn't actually like show her cleavage. It's just that she's got a very deep torso line to show the belly button.
Well,
and like ripped tights.
You can actually see her cleavage. Like if you squint, you can see like the detailing for it. But I guess maybe that got by the TCG. Maybe that got by the localization department.
One thing I find utterly hilarious though is the fucking one wing on the head. Looking like a tiny hat.
I love that actually.
Yeah, she's got a little. She's got her little. Instead of like a crown of horns or anything, she's got a little wing on that she's using to cover her head. That's great. Honestly, no, this card design is a banger. Also, shout out to them. She's named after a Mayan goddess. Her skin tone is at least somewhere in the brown range. You know, a lot of these guys are super pale.
That happens a lot. That like
we did it.
Yeah.
Also, again, killer fashion sense. Like the white and the black, the ripped tights.
This, the look is awesome.
Yeah, she's killing it. Good.
I'm not sure if it's just the lighting itself, but with the fact that some of her outfit is still white, and also some of her hair looks white. You can see, yes.
Some of that I think is supposed to be the overhead light, but it is like catching in such a way.
On the right side. On the right half, you can still see like white in her design, so I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah,
where like
it's being like super blown out because there's light from heaven, but she does actually have some natural like lightness in her look.
And part of her wings still look feathery and not leathery, so not the complete transformation to Darklord.
Yeah, she's still a dark fairy. But no, Ixchel is another card that I think when this deck like came back around in like 2020, again, people be playing because I did not realize this, but apparently you were right, Vesper. I think this might just be the Darklord's thing is that they get to activate their own spell traps from the graveyard, which means this chick is great because she discards spell traps into your graveyard and herself, and you get to draw 2.
I'm reading more Dark Lords. This is just what all the quote-unquote little Dark Lords do. By little, I mean the 7s and 8s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so honestly, not a terrible stratagem. You've already seen this if you guys been watching since the beginning.
Dark deck back in the day.
They definitely had they had enough sauce to do things. I definitely remember randomly getting clowned on in locals by Dark Lord decks that I just did not know how to parse what the cards were doing.
Definitely, I think when we got to the 2020 phase, like when they got their fusion, that's a guy, I don't remember exactly what he says, but I think he's like untargetable or something and maybe like immune to destruction as well. And he's like 5k or like 4,500 or something. He's just like a really big guy that you need specific outs to, and if you don't, you fucking die. Anyway, this is Darklord Morningstar.
Like
Datenshi
sometimes
Yushiferu.
I also do like this redesigned like Halo for this new series of guys. It's like red Crown of Thorns style Halo.
Yeah,
weird going on.
Giving them a specific one. I also have noticed. I forgot to mention it with Ixchel, but they each have a different seal under them actually, which are all different color themed.
Oh, that's nice.
Like you'll notice, Lucifer has like a very spiky one here.
Yeah.
It's a
Amdut's was
Lucifer.
like green, wasn't it?
Yes. And Ixchel's was purple. So we we're doing a little different thing with colors. And yes, this is just straight up a Lucifer. And yeah, that's an anime Lucifer. That's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have seen Lucifer in any like anime or RPG, this is Lucifer. Like you look at him, yep, that's Lucifer.
He looks more twinkish in this one as opposed to his later retrain, fusion retrain.
That said, I still think we have to categorize him in the twunk zone because he's got a bared midriff and he has hella abs down there. That's a window, guys.
Now, I could just Morningstar is like Lucifer's subtitle, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the translation of the name for the Morningstar.
No, what I mean is like literally Lucifer, the like the Morningstar was one of his. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Lucifer
is just the
Lucifer
Morningstar.
Actually like, translates to. So
yeah,
it's they basically double translated it rather than say Darklord Lucifer. They went Darklord Morningstar.
In some,
it works.
I think in comics, some comic continuities have like Lucifer just call his names Lucifer Morningstar as a bit.
Yeah, it works as a translation to avoid the issue. But this is a level 11 Dark Fury, 3k. And this has a slightly problematic card text. Not as cool for the other ones. This card can't be special summoned.
Just full stop.
Just full cannot. If this card is tribute summoned, though, you can special summon Darklord monsters from your hand and or deck up to the number of effect monsters your opponent controls.
Yeah.
Which, keep in mind, this is the Pendulum era. Yeah. If your opponent has a full board of 5 guys, while you control another Darklord monster, your opponent can't target this card with card effects. Once per turn, you can send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard equal to the number of Darklord monsters on the field. If you do, gain 500 for each Darklord sent to the graveyard by this effect.
Yeah, no, this is the guy who makes the deck in 2016. This guy is just again, Darklord was never like tiered, but it was one of those like rogue locals decks that would show up, kick you in the fucking teeth, similar to Nurse Burn. So I guess this is just the Darklord gimmick. They've always been rogue.
I do want to say,
they're always rogue in weird ways.
I feel like Lucifer remembers Mary's old effect because he's got like a weird LP gain effect in the graveyard, like gain 500 for each Darklord you send to the graveyard type thing. Like that's kind of a cute reference while making it much faster, obviously. So no, obviously these days, a card that can't be special summoned at all and basically has to be tribute summoned so you don't like do like a weird normal summon effect. That's rough. But back in the day, there would have been a million ways to set this up. Like, just play some sort of fairy pendulum package, so you pendulum out the materials, summon it back.
Yeah,
and I said, the odds that your opponent controls a lot of effect monsters because they're also capable of pendulum summoning, pretty decent odds. So you might be summoning fucking 4 from deck, which is crazy.
To kind of flash back to last week, the counter fairy package was usually played as a secondary sort of fairy package on top of just random very good stuff. Like Darklord, like they didn't have enough cards to make a 40 card deck of good stuff, but the rest of those cards they just padded out with the other good like fairy, sometimes counter fairy stuff, sometimes just the Ariadne pendulum and whatnot. But there were plenty of ways to finagle a pendulum setup to turbo out your Morningstar.
And Morningstar, again, is just, like, again, even today, guy who summons, like, admittedly, the problem now is obviously you have to tribute summon into a board where your opponent has effect monsters, but still, hypothetically, tribute summon a guy, special summon 4 from deck, like, maximum up to your slots. Could be pretty spiced. Could be pretty spicy. I kind of wonder if anybody tried to make, like, a Tier Limits Darklord setup back in the day. Like, probably that was, like, the 5th worst thing you could do with Tier, but they're all darks.
Sounds like something people tried to do.
Yeah. Next up, we have Darklord Nasten. This was Darklord Mastema in the OCG, which is the name of, like, an evil angel.
I looked up Tier Limits Darklord.
Let me tell you interesting about Mastema. Interesting about Mastema is that he's actually a bit different. He's actually the persecutor of evil. His whole thing is that he is the angel that controls demons, and basically he is the divine prosecutor. He basically does evil to test humanity and can control demons because of it.
Yeah. Makes sense. There's a lot of, like, old school demonology is, it's not inherently evil. Like, even the Ars Goetia, says the Seal of Solomon. The idea is that, like, no, in the name of God, you command demons, obviously. But, so, Vesper, you looked up Darklord Tier? Did you get some hints?
I'm seeing, granted, these are all, like, random YouTube videos, so it doesn't show anything specific, but it's like, oh, like, Darklord, like Darklord Tearlament and all sorts of nonsense of people just trying stuff. Here's Darklord Despia Tearlament, and on the fucking thumbnail is the graveyard DNA surgery. I forget what that card's called.
Oh, no, that's for attributes. What do they call it? Samsara of Rebirth?
It's the Zane used it for Cyberdarks, but regardless.
Yeah, I think the original name was Samsara of Rebirth, but I don't remember what it actually got, like, translated as. But I know the one. It's got a human man turning into a machine on it.
Yes.
It's really weird, but yeah. So Nasten, the name Nasten in the TCG translation is just the name of an historical king of Afghanistan. Again, don't know what exactly we're aiming for here, guys.
Yeah. I'm seeing Mastema on Wikipedia. It is an evil angel in the Book of Jubilees.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. He's a...
my bad.
There's... It's okay. You were looking up Darklord Tearlament, but yes, so it's the OCG name kind of follows the theme of, like, darkness and, demon-associated guys who are also technically angels or gods. So, like, it works, but the TCG translation is weird. This guy's only a level 7 Dark Fairy. He's 26. He's also actually our first case of a guy who can easily special summon himself. Discard 2 other Dark Lords, special summon him from your hand, and then quick effect, pay 1, target a
It is Dark Lord cards, it is Dark Lord cards, which I assume is the idea of, like, with this reset, like, they're still building, like, a graveyard-based deck.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
But yeah, so you do get to actually, like, bin a couple of spell traps or a monster, because you can use a few of those in your graveyard as well, and then summon their ass back, and actually, summon some guys. Also, art-wise, before we move on to the next guy, we didn't really say anything because I don't really. He's not bad. I just don't have much to say about him. He's a lion, angel devil man.
So
That's
he's
cool.
a lion. He's a lion tar. Something going on here. Like it does look nice. Like, there's not much to say about him.
I will say, kind of missing out. Note, we're not. The card art doesn't look low enough to see if he's standing on like a cool seal or anything. He's just him. But I will also say with the pale skin and claws and wings that like he looks the most like some of the earlier Darklords, like Desire and Asmodeus. Like, but he's also clearly doing his own thing, and that's cool.
I mean, Lucifer did also have like white skin. It's just the color tone and palettes of for some reason this guy just has like a slightly different color palette than all of the human ones.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of a different one too. Like the non-human Darklords kind of have like a slightly different color palette.
It is interesting.
The human ones.
So we're gonna switch this up and talk about Darklord Tezcatlipoca, who is rad.
Yeah, it always ends up being cool.
Like it. Honestly, this is just the thing from Tezcatlipoca's NP and FGO.
I was about to say that
he's just a giant obsidian skeleton robot.
Yeah,
which is rad.
Which is accurate, I think, to his mythology.
Kinda, yeah.
I like the fucking random exhaust pipes he has on his thigh. That's great.
Yeah, which are spewing smoke, which is like one of the things the actual deity Tezcatlipoca is associated with. Yeah,
he produces actual smoke.
I'm not saying that as a good thing. It's great.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, though. It's like it's so good. This is rad. Love this guy. Nah, he's sick as hell.
I like that he's extremely mechanical for no reason. Just extremely mechanical.
I will say it still reminds me of
transform into a bike.
That's funny to me.
I bet he cost 7.5 million gil.
No, he'd only cost you to cause two world wars.
2 world wars.
But like,
sorry, I'm just thinking of like fucking.
No, Mega, it's fair. When I think of Tez, I still think of your line of like the most neutral man alive.
It's true.
Yeah.
I also
that one is keeping with me.
I will say also I can't look at this guy and hear his name Tezcatlipoca and not think of the woo Tez does when you hit him with an NP. That's his damaged by noble phantasm line is just woo. He's having a great time. Also, you'll probably have a pretty good time with this card because this card's a level 9 Dark Fairy, 2800 attack, 2100 defense. So again, we're getting big attack numbers. If a Darklord monster you control will be destroyed, actually I say monsters, it works for the plural, will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can discard this card instead. During either player's turn, pay 1k, do the targeted Darklord spell trap, shuffle it back. You can use each effect once per turn and special summon it once per turn.
Yeah.
But no, the replacement effect of when you destroy by battle or card effect from hand?
You know what, Omega?
We love that shit.
I just realized something.
Yeah?
So, granted, it's a tribute summon effect. Morningstar's effect is not a once per turn. So I think that's why all of the big guys have the once per turn clause on it. So you can't pendulum summon and Morningstar was the idea.
Yeah, okay. So you have to use a bunch of different names than just like...
They can't patch that, unfortunately, now.
Summon a shitload of guys.
Honestly, like, it sucks, it's probably why Darklords are unfortunately not.
It means that their combo is probably going to be pretty linear. That said, there's like between the news and olds, there's like I want to say almost like 20 names. So like you could pick quite a few. Only a couple of them are extra deck monsters. So, with the right number of names, you could do a lot with that once per turn limit.
I don't think there's necessarily an association. It's more so just a happy accident Spiridon. It's just sort of like every once in a while, two guys at separate times, at separate places, go, what if this guy was that?
Well, I also think that, like, obviously he's not going to be described as, like, literally a giant robot, but there are implications in some of the different mythology that, like, first of all, Tezcatlipoca has a prosthetic leg in the actual Aztec myths. So, like...
I also think about, like, Talak, who is usually seen as portrayed as like an actual like thing made of like clouds and stone.
Yeah, there's also some of them are just kind of like
Made
mechanical,
of
and then there
materials.
are like Tezcatlipoca is also funny because he's 4 guys. We decided later the 4 Tezcatlipocas. So like, it's not like he's literally a giant robot, but there's enough about him that's kind of like weirdly non-organic or mechanical. Like he is sometimes depicted as being made of obsidian, and naturally, I think when Japanese pop culture people are like, ooh, this guy's got like a weird obsidian leg, and he's like made of a non-living material. What can I do with that? They just hear the fucking. I'm just imagining they hear what is it, Gallant Char in the back of their mind with the trumpets, and then like they're driven to create a giant robot. The spirit of Tomino takes them over.
It's something involving wrestling.
That's also true.
It could be both.
Also, I do want to. I'm about to say this could be both. Like this, other than the robot parts, this guy is also dressed like a wrestler. Like he's got like a weird like shoulder like scarf thing and fur trim everywhere. He's got like a big codpiece. He could be a wrestler. And so,
now that you said it, the codpiece is jutting. I dislike it.
It's full of pipes.
Also, so we technically got one more of the classic old school Dark Lords. This is Ukobak. He was printed a little later in Duelist Saga, but so he was originally in the manga. They just never got around to him.
He does feel like he's like a smaller version of the older ones.
Yeah. Ukobak is the name of a demon in the Dictionnaire Infernal, which is a famous French book of demonology. So again, keeping to kind of the classic names, but this is a little Dark Lord, and that's just what his art is. He's just a little Dark Lord. He's got, a weird head thing and the dark-colored armor and some chains.
And he's a foolish. That's all he is.
Keeps the theme. Yeah, this is a level 3 Dark Fairy, 700 attack, 1000 defense. If this card's normal or special, send a Dark Lord card from your deck to your graveyard. He is a hard once per turn.
He at least come out later enough where they're like, okay, like we have an idea for this archetype now. Let's just put him in there.
And let's just make sure that we, 2017 card design, we give him the full range, normal or special Dark Lord card. He still keeps to some of the old themes, but also works with the new deck as just like, he's a foolish on legs. So let's talk about a few of these spell traps that were out, the cards that you would be shuffling back. God, sorry. The first one I pulled up alphabetically is Banishment of the Dark Lords, and the card art's very funny for reasons that the panel will see in a second.
I forgot about this card.
So this card is important because it shows a couple of the Dark Lords before they become dark.
It shows Amdusk fucking dying.
Yeah, this is Amdusk and Tezcatlipoca, judging by the because he's got the fur trim back there.
He's got the ring. Yeah, Amdusk is just dying.
But yeah, no, like I said, the card art's very funny because, like, in real life chat, do not rotate your horse this direction.
Also, Tez being a non-Dark Angel from the start feels weird to me, but I guess it's because. But
it kind of works with the lore,
character.
But no, Amdusk is just. It's so funny, like the art. It's the case of like the thing that happens a lot with Yu-Gi-Oh art, where they're like, well, okay, nobody's gonna realize this is Amdusk if I draw him just like all 4 feet on the ground, So we're gonna tilt him 90 degrees up, but he's just eating shit and falling into the dark void.
I appreciate you got a similar gift.
This is one of those things where, with certain like animals, when you're drawing them like a horse, it's kind of hard to make them. I don't know how to describe this. It's hard to make them feel like they belong in the art. Something about like horses and like certain animals just have an uncanniness to them when you're trying to put them into art, especially just anime style.
It's I think because large animals like horses. Like, obviously, if you don't know, horses are hard to animate because the horses have a very specific mechanic of running and walking. Like, they have evolved to run and move in a very specific way. So if you don't get that perfectly, it's going to look uncanny. But I also think that just that, like, horses and lots of other big animals have very distinct silhouettes. So if you start to, like, stylize that and fuck with it, it's the kind of thing where people go, hold on a minute, I've seen a horse before. This is not a horse. This horse is doing something that horses don't do. And, like, yeah, that's definitely Amdusk is in that state where, like, I mean, obviously you go, yeah, he's a Pegasus. Of course he's doing something horses don't do. But, like, most people haven't seen a horse fall off a cliff, I think, in real life. And I don't know if that's what that looks like this card art.
I think it's like you said with the way they move. I think it does have to do with like with the hooves both being hiked up at the same time. It just something about it just feels unnatural to look at.
Yeah, because he's like.
Aside from that, giant beam of God hammer or something.
Yeah.
Like this is God just telling these angels to fuck off or something.
And it's so funny because this is their Rhoda. This is their Searcher. Add a Darklord card from your deck to your hand except Banishment. You can only activate one Banishment per turn. So, like, thematically, that's very funny to me that they're like, oh, the card that searches a Darklord card is when the Darklords get kicked out of heaven. That's when they become Darklords. Honestly, this is probably not a one you're going to use the graveyard effect to activate, but it's a good card to have in your deck.
It's funny to do it like once as a joke because you then recycle one of your Rhodas.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something you would do consistently, yeah.
So here's another one that I think is not as funny, but also kind of funny thematically, is Darklord Contact, which they simplified in the TCG. The OCG name is like Kaidan. It's like talking about like a holy platform. They just made it Darklord Contact.
Is that?
But
I'm trying to.
it's Nostin.
No,
it's Nostin, yeah, because he's big and bulky.
All the like fucking the straps on him too.
Yeah, all of his weird ribbons. I do think it's interesting that they did add so much Mesoamerican stuff to this in the middle, which has to just be whoever they like got in the design crew to like do this in 2016 was just like, okay, so you've heard of like goetic demons like Amadusias and and like Mastema and stuff, like Hebrew fallen angels. What about Mayans though? So there's a fucking Mayan step pyramid here. But I do love that, like, there's the literal stairway to heaven. Go ahead.
Maybe it's the same guy who later said, okay, I want to do that again. Let's do Memento.
Maybe
they just have that Johnny...
I don't know if it's because there is... It's Brazil, so it's not Central America, but there is a decent amount of, like, Japanese diaspora in South America. Or if it's just one of those things where much like Western occultism, the Japanese have just latched drawn to Mesoamerican stuff as being pretty metal. Because it is.
Honestly, like, it's something, it's like, in terms of mythologies, it's something I've barely delved into, but every time I do, it's incredibly neat.
Yeah, so, it's just one of those things they picked up. But yeah, I do still love this card art because there's the literal stairway to heaven, and we've just put a fucking barricade in the way. We're just like, no, you can't go back.
Get out.
You must be this tall. They put a fucking turnstile in the way, and Nostin's run out of his subway card. Anyway, this is another spell trap that is fucking phenomenal because this is a normal spell that just says special summon a Darklord from your graveyard in defense. Hard once. Also, by the way, I should note... Go ahead.
Immediately notes that, oh, you can't do this with Suburbia, because Suburbia is a win.
Yeah. I do want to point out, note that all their spell traps, I think, are hard onces. The effect of the Darklords to do an effect in graveyard does not activate that card in graveyard. It applies its effect. So you can technically get 2 of these in the same turn if you do them. Obviously, you can't, unless you have multiple copies in the graveyard to shuffle back, you can't get more than 2 because it shuffles back. But hypothetically, if you had 3 Contact Engrave and 3 different names to pay 1k, you could, get in there.
It is a very funny workaround to a lot of these restrictions, honestly.
Yeah. Like, honestly, what I'm learning here is that, like, I didn't realize it because they're a 2016 deck that got a 2020 bump that didn't make them any good. Darklord is a really interesting mechanical deck. Like, Konami's really doing some experiments, but they're also very clearly a, like, late Pendulum era type deck.
Again, like I said earlier, it was never like a tiered, super competent strategy, but just because of the axis it plays on, because it's able to just copy, and it's similar to like another deck I would compare it to is Psyframe. Not in play style, but in that way of this deck is just designed from a different stroke than a traditional deck that it's hard to play around. Like the Psyframes at the time were incredibly fucky just because of how their natural summoning dodged so much trap interaction that was at that point just starting to fade out, but was still very consistent among many players.
So here's another 2017 card from Duelist Saga, but still a Darklord card, which may actually be relevant. I do believe this was also played in the manga as the setup. This card is Darklord Descent. The card art is just Asmodeus descending. Looking fucking sick, though.
This card art does look fucking rad.
There's been a lot of good play with, like, light and shadow in this. A Clair Obscure, if you will. But, like, this is a really good example of, like, playing with light and darkness.
How do you get going?
But this is... Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk to you later. Thanks for showing up for a little bit, X.
Yeah. Instead of being not afraid, it is be very afraid.
Actually, I might be able to do one more card, so we'll see how this goes.
All right.
Finish this out. Finish this boy out.
But so the effect of this is pretty simple. This kind of reads much for like a GX era card, but it still works. It's pay half your LP, special summon up to 2 Darklords from your graveyard in defense position with the same level as one face-up monster your opponent controls. So obviously I think this card would be kind of like not relevant now, but I definitely for like the GX to like around in the Pendulum era when this card comes out, it's like, that's not terrible.
I do believe, I forget which one, there is a Darklord that summons a Darklord to your opponent's side of the field, which, if you're that down bad, would allow you to set this card up, I guess.
Yeah. That's also actually another thing we should say about how neat the graveyard effect is. It means that if trap cards are in your graveyard, you can use their effects on turn 1. Because their effects are activated, yeah.
The effects are being applied, not a trap card being activated.
You apply the effects, not activate them, yeah. So, like, that means you get around Jinzo, and trap locks also means that you don't have to set them ahead of time. Just put them in the graveyard, and you can activate them. It's like a really clever way to use spell traps in a way that gets around a lot of restrictions that I feel like, honestly, Konami should have remembered. Like, there's a lot of decent trap-based decks these days. Like, Metalmorph revolves around trap cards. Labyrinth, obviously, is, like, still, I think, rogue playable. And also, Labyrinth friends, just wait until they print the red one with the scissors. They've literally shown her. They'll do it. They'll print a new Labyrinth card and maybe a new trap, like, whenever they decide.
Like Copium.
Yeah.
They'll print her, surely.
It's more just
I mean, I think they will, though. It is Copium that they'll do it soon, but I'm just like, they're going to have 2 empty slots in a set, and they're going to be like, man, we haven't sold a shitload of Labyrinth cards in a hot minute. Here we go. And then they'll do it, and it'll probably be good. So, like, Konami does do that occasionally, but those cards are all around, like, setting directly from deck to dodge Ash Blossom and shit like that. And the furniture interactions to, like, set cards and be able to activate them from, the turn they're set. These are just like, nah, fuck them. Put them in the graveyard, apply their effects. But yeah, Descent is a decent card. Cool art.
The worst part is the setup, but they do later, like, technically design a build around to it. I wouldn't like, force it, but it's within the archetype, so it can happen.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt
You're
you.
fine.
That's fine. No, okay, there we go. I was going to say, did we not grab the card art? There we did. This is Darklord Enchantment, which is, funnily enough, just called Darklord of Enchantment, or Fallen Angel of Enchantment in the original. But, you know, it's just, we just got, sorry, excuse me, had a little burp there. Ixchel's just vibing.
Oh, that's very nice card art. Ixchel looks
Yeah.
great.
No, she looks great. And this does prove that there is some of her design which is just kind of that white to black gradient.
Which is just a very good look in general, honestly.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that some parts of her wings are still feathery. It's a good design choice.
What is this? What is this? What is this? This is a trapper spell.
Also-
I'm sorry.
This is a normal trap card, and guess what it is? It's called Enchantment. It's fucking Change of Heart. It does have a
With
cost.
all-
You have to send a Darklord from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard, but take control of one face-up monster your opponent controls until the end phase. You only activate one enchantment per turn. So
That's
it does
cute.
have a cost, but it says send from hand or face-up field. So yeah, no, that can be very mean, especially because, once again, this is either a normal trap or is a quick effect in graveyard to apply this effect. That kind of thing can be like even if Change of Heart today was a quick play, it's still like, I think they put it. Did they finally put it back at 3?
I think it is back at 3 now.
It's
sometimes just a rogue one of, but
it's a
very
card
rarely
you
played.
play like a couple of copies of if you've got space on a lark. If like stealing an opponent's monster would be really good for you, like to like
I'm
make
going. You
zombie
guys have
vampire
fun.
or something. All right,
See you, X.
later, X.
Bye.
But like this, if just plain Change of Heart was a quick play, I think it would see play.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
I think so.
You know, and this is actually, I called it a Change of Heart. Technically, I think this is an econ because it does have a monster cost, but still, like,
Yeah, it's an econ, but it's like the change of heart effect is still easy to parse.
yeah. But like, it's a very good card effect. Like, just on a archetype normal trap is fine, but also works out. I'm a little sad that Axe left just now, but because the next card is Darklord Rebellion, which I didn't realize 100%. But no, we saw that earlier when we talked about the Ordeal of the Traveler thing. No,
Oh, that's
Solemn
Morningstar.
Johnson's just in that. Yeah, this is Morningstar rebelling against God. It's him. He's there.
This is Lucifer doing the falling.
Yeah. The full name of this in the OCG translates to Fallen Angels Falling from Grace. Darklord
That is
Rebellion
cute.
flows a lot better, but yeah,
I
saying
totally
Falling
know
from
what
Grace
that
is cute. But yeah, no, this is just Lucifer is looking up at God, and God is doing his favorite thing, saying no.
Yes.
Hiding me.
Solemn judgment, no. Sorry, hold on. Omega, I feel like you and Vesper would appreciate this, what I just found on Twitter.
Oh
I'm
God,
linking
what are
the
you
film
doing?
trip.
All right. I don't play Digimon, but I assume it's similar to Pokemon, where like, it's always fun seeing draw power seen in other games.
However, I will say, I do appreciate that we do get to see pre-corruption Lucifer.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's
you
very
missed
shiny.
it at the start of the. Or it might be the thumbnail. It's the playmat has this and regular Morningstar.
I did not
Yeah,
see
so
it.
they
Oh, no, it didn't.
bridged them
It was-
together.
It was our bumper.
Yeah, it was because when you go to Wikipedia and search Darklords, they use that as kind of the splash image for the archetype. So I was like, we'll use that as our starter.
Which is funny when you think about it, because like, it's like, oh hey, God's about to cast a spell to give you the corruption powers of a Dark Lord. Like, excuse me?
You know, he's kicking him out. So here, speaking of linking things to Portrayal, I'll post the image in FP for Loth to see. This was the special act. So, you know, they kind of go together. But yeah, honestly, for all as cool as this card art is, it's kind of a like normal effect. This is still an effect that I like because it says send a Darklord from your hand or face a field of the graveyard to pop one on the field. That's a
Yeah, no,
non-targeting
still a
pop.
great effect.
Like, but it's very, very plain Jane. But again, the way this archetype works, like, this means you could flip Darklord Rebellion after setting it normally one turn, and then with one of your Darklords on the field, use their effect, pay 1k, shuffle this back, and destroy another card, both of which are, once again, non-targeting. So, like, it starts as a very simple effect.
Non-targeting destruction is super strong.
Yeah. And you've still got, like, Desire in this deck, ostensibly. That's still a Darklord card, so, like, he is a targeting, but he is a send to graveyard. Like, you got a lot of funny little removal effects here. So, our next one, our last in the original run of spell traps, is the Sanctified Darklord. This was very interesting.
At the beginning.
Yes, because this is the one that negates effects.
This is also Nostem and someone
with a cup, perhaps of a forbidden nature, pouring some water over them. It looks like Solemn Johnson, but in shadow, so I really don't know what we're implying here. Is there Nega God?
Oh. Or it's Forbidden Droplet.
I mean, yeah, it is also just like...
Yeah, it's the same, like, artwork that becomes Forbidden Droplet.
Yeah.
You don't see... the shadowy figure seems to be God. It seems to be Mr.
It's got the same silhouette as Mr. Solemn Johnson himself, but it is not. That said, you are absolutely right. Let me pull up the side-by-side art. This is absolutely the same thing that happens in Forbidden Droplet, but, less scary. Maybe that means that Mastema is like a double agent, like he still works for God. And so Condemned Darklord featured here is like, nah, man, I'm not about that life. But yeah, also, the first time I've ever looked at Forbidden Droplet up close, didn't realize they were little guys.
You know what? I didn't either. Just little guys all over.
Hey, I guess that's what happens when your cards get selected and negated, is little guys crawl out.
Little guys that
I
are just
didn't realize
happy.
It's the same guy being dropped on.
Well, that's what I meant. Like that,
yeah, so it's very funny.
Mastin is apparently
it's the messengers from Bloodborne.
But yeah, Sanctified Darklord is send a Darklord from your hand or face up field to the graveyard, negate the effects of one effect monster on the field until the end of this turn. If you do, gain LP equal to its attack. You can only activate Sanctified Darklord once per turn. Also, that is kind of like a forbidden card. Like, you do have to pay a cost, but negate an effect monster and gain LP. Like, that helps reset your LP.
Oh, is that true? Mastin's a snitch?
I mean, I think that is what is certainly implied here, and also there is
also Darklord Contact, where he's like coming to the podium.
Yeah, there is also. Let me see if I can grab it easily. There is also a valuable book EX for the Condemned Witch specifically.
Good. She goes on a fucking arc.
Yeah, so it seems like, she begins a secret plan as Condemned Witch to rebel against heaven. She gets the other girls involved. We'll see them later as Darklords. And then apparently the first Darklord is interested in her power. Like, Condemned Darklord, the form she becomes, takes over the other Darklords and negates their powers. So first, Lucifer eats them, basically. That's why he's a fusion.
Oh.
Because he absorbs the other Darklords who fell, because he will stop at nothing to defeat God. So the valuable book doesn't say for sure that Mastema is a snitch, but I could certainly interpolate that one. Maybe it comes up in Master Guide 4 with the Condemned Maiden. Nah.
Between the three card between the three card arts, it does appear to be some kind of situation like that. I'm trying to.
But so, like I said, after another 3 or 4 years, in the Link era, they did actually drop a few more Darklords, starting in the Rise of the Duelist in 2020. Very popular set. I think a decent number of people were kind of like interested to see if this would take Darklords anywhere. It didn't really, because in case you guys forgot, Rise of the Duelist is a fucking cracked set. That's got like most of the Infernobles, most of the Dogmaticas, a shitload of Melfies are in that set.
More at Emancipator.
Yeah. Also, like, again, not a good deck per se, but that's where all the latest, the newest Gaia retrain shit was, which also is like that's another like OTK, local legend type deck. If your opponent doesn't know what they're doing and you just summon, big Gaias, they fucking die. But like Fallen of Albaz is in that set, so unfortunately the Darklords kind of like fell back into that.
I do believe Darklord became like a branded package around this time. Like
I think it's like we said, that like first Darklord is just like a fucker of a fusion card. So like, and he's a dark and a fairy and stuff. But our first one is Capricious Darklord, Fallen Angel of Pleasure is her name. And again, I just mentioned this, but canonically, this is one of the other chicks who's just chilling in heaven with Mr. Johnson and the Forbiddens. And she forms an evil girl gang.
She forms a hag coven.
Also, a pretty cool design, like, going for almost like the grayish purplish skin tone.
Yeah, like honestly,
is just straight up
for
like
just
dark.
For being a design that was just like generic looking girl in the original cards, they got a glow up for both of these.
Also, honestly, I feel like we're calling back to Darklord Mary here, because like one of her hands is like going that same kind of like obsidian black, and she has like a single little horn now.
It could
like
be.
we remember some things, but it's also not exact. But she's still blinged out. Great dress design. Got the one little wing to kind of show, she's, one half of the girl posse. But, chat, you may have realized something when we were talking about Darklords before. You may have noticed that literally all of them were level 6 or higher, with the exception of Ukobak. So, like, the deck was hurting for normals. It was clearly the kind of thing where, like, in 2010 to 2016, you would splash just in very good stuff. But now that we're in 2020, the game design has shifted to, like, usually if you want to build a pure archetype deck, which certainly this deck has enough names for, you want some, like, normals in this.
Yeah, you need some lower levels to at least pad out your roster.
Yeah. And you will see when I read her effect that Capricious is very much part of giving you, like, a normal summon engine to play in this deck. Because she's a Dark Fairy, level 4, with 0 attack and 1600 defense. But during the main phase, quick effect, activate this effect, tribute summon a fairy monster face up. So just gives you the ability to do an extra tribute summon, including on your opponent's turn. So you can go first and still play Lucifer, still play Morningstar. Also, hey, if this card's sent to the graveyard, you can make all monsters your opponent controls currently lose 500 attack and defense for each fairy monster on the field until the end of this turn. You're going to use each effect once per turn.
Boy, if I had DNA surgery, this card would be crazy.
Also crazy, yeah.
It'd be bad, but it'd be funny.
It'd be funny. Also, I mean, honestly, just her effect to just, like... And I don't know if you could chain order this. Like, use her quick effect, tribute her off, summon Lucifer, make her effect CL1, make Lucifer CL2, so you summon a shitload of Darklords from the deck, then resolve Capricious. I think you can do that way.
Let me think.
Because it would be... Because her effect is if this card is sent to graveyard, so it's an if trigger.
I do believe both trigger at the same time. Yes.
Yeah, so, like, they're definitely thinking, and 500 for each fairy monster, is not bad. Like, if you're going second or if you're going first and you do this on your opponent's turn, the main thing is just it's all monsters your opponent currently controls, so obviously if they keep doing their combos, it doesn't matter as much. But it's a quick effect during the main phase, so, like, if they don't, like, negate her somehow, you could probably do some pretty punishing stuff. So, like, there's definitely some funny plays here that we like. And also, just again, the fact that they gave you a normal summonable monster whose effect is just quick effect, get an extra tribute summon of a fairy. That's good. That's useful. That's just more summons. We need them.
The other thing being nice for this card especially is that it's generic for fairies. So if you're splashing in other random fairies that are just good for decks, you can just mess with that with this too.
Yeah. It basically means any fairy who has a funny effect when tribute summoned could be playable in this setup. Speaking of guys though who are pretty metal, we also remembered during this phase, during Rise of the Duelist, the other design phase real quick, because while there is another small Darklord lady, we also printed another big Darklord. It's Darklord Nurgle. Nurgle, as in the Mesopotamian god.
Yeah, not the 40k one.
No, spelled differently. But Nurgle, as in the guy who's either married to Ereshkigal or she beat him up and stole all his divinity. Maybe both? Myths are funny sometimes, chat.
He does look pretty cool, though.
No, he kicks ass.
He just went down, I think. Oh, never mind.
The wiki's been kind of phasing in and out, but yeah, Nurgle is fucking rad. He's like made of fire.
Boy? Does he suck effect-wise, though? That's the problem.
He doesn't suck. It's just that he does something for the deck that's, like, important, but also nobody in 2020 would be into. Short version, he just makes all your fairies do piercing, and also has the quick effect to pay 1,000 to apply a Darklord spell trap.
I mean, like,
so, like,
it's
not bad.
He's a name. He's a name for the deck, and you can always just turbo him out with Morningstar. So it's one of those, like, okay, like, I guess in a perfect world I could play one of this guy, but he probably gets swapped out for anything.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, the deck does need names because they all have that requirement to only be special once per turn. And, like, the thing he does for the deck is not, like, incorrect, because the way the Darklords work is, like, usually you want to summon when your opponent has, like, a full board. So, like, giving them piercing to just chew through all their guys, not terrible. But, again, 2020 game design. We are, like, leaving the, like, Eldritch Adamantipator format and moving into the Dogmatica Infernoble format. That's not going to cut it. Like, it's just, if this guy was printed in 2016, you'd be seeing him everywhere.
Yeah. In 2016, this card would have been a linchpin and just, like he would be your game ender, basically.
Yeah, because basically the idea would be you would wait till your opponent pendulum summons 5 guys, and you're just like, cool. First, Morningstar, summon a bunch of guys. Nurgle gives all my huge guys piercing. You're dead.
Yeah, I can see, like, oh, I'm fighting someone who loves playing defense mode. I'll tech this guy in a side deck or something.
But yeah, his design philosophy, I think, is just a little too slow. It's like he's truly the forgotten one of the 2016 run.
Because like he really doesn't fit in like with the well, I guess fit in is off to say because the Darklords in general don't really follow a turbo theme, but with the new releases, it just sort of like feels out of place.
Well, yeah, with the 2016 Darklords are, like, effectively a control strategy. They're about the ability to basically recycle your spell trap effects in the middle of your opponent's turn for a cost, obviously. Though, again, with Sanctified Darklord, you have a way to get your LP back. And also, in general, fairies have good LP gaining effects. Like, Morningstar himself has an effect to recycle some LP. Honestly, you'd probably be so down bad for Darklord names, you might play a couple Darklord Mary just so that you can pitch her into the graveyard and just get a little bit of LP back every turn.
I mean, I don't see a field spell for this deck, so you're 100% playing Valhalla just because it's fun. Or not Valhalla. What's the one that stops battle damage?
Sanctuary in the Sky,
yeah.
Sanctuary, yeah.
Like, no, because that would be great. And a lot of them have, like, big stats, even if it's just, fat asses. So, like, you play it as a control deck. You wall up behind big guys and just, snipe away at your opponent's advantage until you're ready to swing for game. And, like, Nurgle does help you speed up that swing for game part, but it's, the deck is not an OTK deck despite having a lot of big beaters, at least not until we get to first Darklord. But now we have our next small Darklord lady. It's Indulged Darklord, Fallen Angel of Delight. Actually, I should also say this. I didn't bring it up before, but I've got a lot of these guys. I ripped a box of Rise of the Duels back in the day. One of the first packs, full boxes I bought when I got back in. So I've got a bunch of these in binders. I think they were all supers or commons.
They're they're all listed as commons. I'm kind of glancing through. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember if first Darklord made himself was like a foil or not. I don't think he was a secret though.
First Darklord, super rare.
Yeah, so yeah, I've got a bunch of these in my bulk and my binders. But yeah, this is Indulged Darklord, so she's the other side, the other lady, so she's facing the other way. I do like that you can see her hand in this. Hand. Yeah, you can see though her hand better in this. You can see that she's almost getting like a bird feather like effect on it. Like it's like turning into a talon or something.
It's like it's either talon or like calcifying almost.
Yeah, it might also becoming like stony, but yeah, she's the other one. She's facing the other way. Her horn's still on that side though, which is interesting. Anyway, this is Indulged as a Dark Fairy level 4 with 1600 attack and 0 defense. Huh, weird. And she is explicitly another starter effect because she says, if this card's normal or special, take 2 Darklords from your hand or deck with different levels, except Indulged Darklord. Special summon one of them to your opponent's field and defense and add the other to your hand. You can't activate monster effects for the rest of this turn except fairies. But yeah, this was what we discussed before. This just puts a Darklord on your opponent's board, which means you can do stuff like, use Darklord Descent better. Give yourself a thing to work with.
Finicky, it does things it is kind of set up for Morningstar and Descent, so I wouldn't say it's unplayable. It just falls into this weird very roundabout way to add a card when we already have a tutor.
Yeah,
Rhoda.
It's just it gives you another thing to do on normal or special, and you do have a reason to put a card on your opponent's board. The problem is, well, it's getting a lot of text. The problem is that, remember again, this is 2020 Yu-Gi-Oh! Appo's already printed. Access Code Talker, I think, either came out in this set or, one of the sets in that same year. So, giving your opponent a bunch of link material is not a good idea, and unfortunately, none of the Darklords are what's-her-face, Nightmare Ibli, if one of the Darklords had a self-floodgate effect, that'd be cool. I don't think any of them do. So you just don't do that. So it's a very risky play.
Like you said, it feels like excluding Capricious, some of these cards just feel like they were just meant to be printed in 2016 and never got around to it.
Yeah.
Their design feels perfect for that era. They were still designing them as they were without realizing how much the meta. Obviously they don't design every card for competitive play, but
yeah,
it's a design power level.
At the very least, it may also be. Let me see. Yeah. I also want to say what I actually think may be more true is Condemned Darklord came out a little earlier, but she's a link monster, so I put her, like I usually do, extra deck at the bottom, but I'll pull her up now. Condemned Darklord is one of the cards that got released with all the other broken Link 2s and Dual Overload, but that means that in the in the OCG, she was in a Link Vrains pack in 2018. So, like, if they designed some of this Darklord support to have originally come out in, like, the 2018, like, the early Link era, rather than, like, the late, jumping to the new Master Rule era, could be a little better. But still, definitely
timing
like
is everything with like for competitive play, timing is everything, and like MBT's even talked about it where we've seen archetypes that just didn't happen in TCG because they came out like a few months too late, or
or
the wrong time,
reverse, right? Where like we get the like unholy collab of cards where like because there were product delays. We never got Sprite the same way that the OCG did because our Sprite releases were so delayed that we were, like, literally right around the corner from Ishizu Tier Lament. Like, some of those products got delayed so long that they came out at the same time.
Sprite was always seen as this boogeyman of the OCG, and we had it for, like, a month.
Yeah, and then they were like, oh, nope, the Ishizu shit's here. Tier Lament is now literally the best deck you can play.
And Tier Lament kind of went somewhat undiscovered in the OCG. Just because like a play style that sometimes happens in TCG where like we went full Gamba on it, which made it explosively powerful.
We like teched out Casino Tier, whereas the OCG was just trying to play it like a normal like combo strategy and not just mill everything. Despite the fact that I'm sure tier decks did play Grass is Greener, but they had Grass is Greener over there. On the other hand, maybe that's what made their decks not as explosive because like if you're playing Grass is Greener, you have to play a 60-card brew, which is not always the best. But yeah, it's the kind of thing where like they definitely had issues. Sorry, I'm staring at my preview window, and it's still showing me the previous card, but I've got on my screen. OBS, are you okay? It's weird.
On my end, I'm seeing Condemned Darklord, if that's what you've put up.
Yeah, that's what I put her up. That's just weird that the YouTube window is just being really slow then. But yeah, we've got Condemned up now.
She has that calcified look on her horns, like this, and like the horns and things surrounding her wings that I think that the same thing was happening to the other girls. Yeah,
they're getting kind of bony or stony, but she has on her hands, they look like she's got straight up freaky gauntlets. But there is also something going on with one half of her face, yeah. But no, she's chilling. She's moisturized. She's in her lane.
She's never been better. Just look at her.
I mean, and her name's great. So they translated this as Condemned Darklord, but her name in the OCG is Fallen Angel of Paradise Lost.
Chitsuraki no Da Tenshi. Yep.
Like, we're having fun. But yeah, no, like you said, timing is everything, and like the Darklords feel like some of their support is like very modern. Like again, what's her face? Capricious is like, yeah, there's a good normal summon for this deck that lets you get extra tributes. And also does combo with Condemned Darklord, who came out, a little earlier, but was delayed from where the OCG was. She's a Dark Fairy Link 2. She's got the arrows you want in a Link 2. She's 1600 attack. She does require exactly 2 fairy monsters, so that can be a little strict, but you can play her in a lot of decks. She says, first of all, you can tribute summon fairy monsters that require 2 tributes by banishing 2 monsters from your graveyard insteed of tributing. This is still treated as a tribute summon. Very important. Also, you can. Yeah. Also, you can discard a card, take 1 Darklord monster from your deck, either add it to your hand or send it to your graveyard.
That's pretty good.
Crazy good effect on a Link 2.
Especially if the card you discard is a Darklord spell or trap card.
Yeah. And then you get to either Foolish or add to hand. And then her last effect is once per turn during your end phase, gain 500 for each fairy on the field. So, like, she also buffs your life points. Assuming your end board is not literally Condemned Darklord, like you have at least 1 other fairy monster on the field, that means you're basically making up 1 activation cost per end phase. So, another way to, like, cycle your life points. Also, by the way, not that I didn't love the life point go down, life point go up episode. I didn't like the judging, but that's because we were trying to mimic something very specific from Alestrals, I guess. But kind of surprised and saddened. Nobody tried out Darklords? That'd be perfect for this.
Oh, was that a Master Chef?
Yeah, that was last week's MasterChef. They tried to do, like I said, the judge was an Alestrals content creator, I think. And so the idea was like what in Alestrals is called heel control or heel stall, where basically the idea is because your life is also your resource, you spend life and then you gain it back to spend it again. Life point go down, life point come back up.
Actually, stalling was not recommended. Yeah,
but the decks in the episode are kind of dog shit.
As they usually are.
Joseph is literally playing a modified TMT list. Obviously, I think the list is good because he's playing Plant Link into Aroma, which is like fulfills the prompt. Plant Link into Aroma is one of the few decks that like spends life points down and then has a way to gain a shitload of life points.
That's on par.
Gage was playing a weird like punk to bridge into plant aroma stuff that never did anything.
Oh, right, yeah.
Farfa had a literal table 500 or dual taining combo where he would like use punks to pay down a shitload of life points, make pep, and then use muscle medic or rainbow life with attack guidance armor to like gain all that LP back, which is not like a terrible idea, but also is a way too complicated combo when you're playing against other people who are also trying to make combos. And Doug just played Vampire, which is also, like, a good deck, and does have some, like, you spend life with Vampire effects, and then they have a couple of cards that gain life, but is also very vanilla. The episode is only good. Though? Go ahead. Yeah.
All that life point gain is great, but it's no 13 coin flips in a row.
No, this week's episode is... this week's episode, they do a Saw bit where Jigsaw challenges them to Shadow Games, so it's all chance cards, dice rolls, coin flips, shit like that. Origami Goddess gets played. Somebody flips some coins a lot. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's fucking amazing. Like, it's actually legitimately a really good episode of MasterChef. Also, all of the guys, I think, actually have, like, interesting decks. I'm trying to think, like, whose was the least interesting? I guess... No, I'll call him out. Gage was the least interesting because he did a spiral package into World FTK.
I did see that. I did see, like, Gage worlding people.
Like, that is, like, probably, like, legitimately the least interesting because he spun his wheels playing Spiral to just generate all the card advantage, do whatever, and then World FTK. That's not... content-wise, very interesting. But at the very least, that's like, he trotted out a deck that you don't see a lot, and he knew how to play.
The World FTK is funny. Like,
the final few seconds of that video is pretty peak, though.
No, it's a very good video. They're doing the bit. MasterChef is one of those series that, like, every, like, 2 or 3 weeks, I'm like, oh, this series is fucking over. The decks are all dog shit. The guys do nothing but yell at each other. And then they do one where it's like, no, this shit rips.
Once I think I'm out, they pull me right back in.
The decks are dog shit, and the guys are yelling at each other, but I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've mentioned Condemned Darklord pretty good. We'll actually talk about also their big boss, the first Darklord. But like for a considering that like Darklords didn't have an extra deck yet, and this was a Link Vrains card, Condemned Darklord is very good. Like, just giving you the ability to tribute summon fairies by banishing from your graveyard instead. Any 2 monsters, by the way, not just, tribute summon a fairy by banishing 2 fairies. And either foolishing or adding a Darklord, good. Gaining LP is, like, not great, but you do need it for the deck. So, like, it's a card that you're absolutely playing a bunch of.
It's not the best effect, but it's an effect that just happens on top of it being a good card. So you don't mind it.
Well, I mean, yes. Sorry. In chat, Marth's saying his YouTube account is called Student of Life, but it's our buddy Marth and or Sape from Prog and stuff.
Sure.
Joseph did decide to do I forget what the field spell is called for Destiny board, but the Destiny board field spell, which flips a coin every time you attack.
Nightmare World thing?
Yeah. Which, yes, that deck was a stall deck, but it was MBT playing, like, Fairy Box and Ordeal of the Traveler to stall out for Destiny board, so, like,
Look,
it's funny.
He's playing all the bullshit. Sure, it's a stall deck, but he is going all in on the theme.
And, like, he brought back Fairy Box, which obviously we remember from, like, our own progression series and the first series of Simo and Nimnim's progression series as, like, iconic, the Fairy Box. So, like, that's like, it's still funny. And he did at least do something that was different from everybody. Like, nobody else tried to play. Doug tried to call his shot and say MBT is 100% playing Arcana Force, and, like, he didn't. He, like, looked at it and went, no, the brand new Arcana Force stuff is too spicy for Master Chef. Like I said, the guys try sometimes. It's funny. But yeah, let's talk about the fusion, the first Darklord, which is ironic because I think it's one of the most recent Darklord cards they printed.
I think it's the last one, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. Like I have to double check when they did one new spell, Darklord Uprising. I have to check when that came out. I think that's the
Is
fusion
it Uprising
spell.
With the
fusion?
animation and Master Duel.
Yeah, it's the fusion spell. Yeah, so that would be the same time as this, basically. Let me go ahead and pull that up, too. Let me show that card art as well. Because it's basically... Darklord Uprising is basically it's a trap card fusion, by the way. But it's basically the fusion effect that gets you to this. So in Uprising, it's, normal Lucifer. And then that's how he becomes first Darklord, which is just Giga Chad Lucifer, I guess. He's Lucifer, but biggerer.
Yes.
He's
He's Lucifer, the Morning Star.
He doesn't have the helmet, head wings.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is odd how, like, the head wings are, like, something... Huh. I guess they got a transformation from one to the other.
His wings are fully black.
Yeah. Also, yes.
In addition to his chest piece.
Vesper mentioned it, but in the OCG, he is Reme no Datenshi Rushiferu, so he is Lucifer, falling angel of the Morning Star, which obviously, because they already called him Darklord Morning Star, they had to come up with something creative, so the first Darklord is kind of weird. But first Darklord is a Dark Fairy Fusion. He's fucking level 12. He's 4K, so I was right. He's fucking enormous. His materials are just any 3 Dark Fairies, which obviously that's mostly the Dark Lords, but I believe there are also a couple of other Dark Fairies out there. He says your opponent can't target fairy monsters you control with card effects, so just blanket protection. And you can use each of the following effects once per turn and only once that turn. If this card is fusion summoned using Morning Star's material, destroy all cards your opponent controls, blow them up, clean the board.
Why not?
During the main phase, quick effect, pay 1,000, special summon a fairy from your hand or graveyard in defense position. So he's a 4K guy. He means that not only is he untargetable, but also all of your fairies are untargetable. He's a fucking 4K guy, and also he summons more guys. So, yeah, big scary guy. Yes, there are some Dark Fairies in Despia, that's right. So, after those cards came out, because that was, the branded Despia thing came out, first Darklord got teched into a lot of those decks. And I think you probably would play, like, a Morning Star as, like, a weird Garnet so that you could make this a board wipe. But you didn't really play, I think, a lot of the other, like, Darklord cards. Like, I think you would play Condemned Darklord, obviously, in your extra if you could, because she's just 2 fairies. But, yeah, you can get some Despia stuff in there.
Just kind of became a cute little package going on.
Yeah. Just, 3 Dark Fairies into a board wipe, and you can summon back fairies in your graveyard, which lets you do stuff. I think Aluber himself is a Dark Fairy.
I'm pretty sure.
So, like, that's... Hey, this guy pay 1K to get back Aluber from your graveyard. Not terrible. Or summon him out of your hand. Like, that's decent. And he's just another 4K asshole who's untargetable. I will say, at least, shout out to Konami for, like... this is an archetype that's closely linked with shit like Solemns and Forbiddens. Their apex boss monster is not like a skill drain or anything. He's just a guy who is untargetable and makes all of your other big Dark Lords untargetable, and could be a board wipe. Could be.
Yeah.
He's just
full floodgates.
He's a big asshole, but in a fun way and not boring way.
And honestly, that's probably why he ended up teched as a package into other decks, but not really, like, in his own deck. And then Uprising is
just
like it's
just like a fusion, essentially, right?
Yeah. Now, I will mention it is a trap that is a fusion, but Darklord Uprising is a trap that says, send a Darklord from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard, fusion summon one dark fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as a material. Then, gain LP equal to the original attack of the monster sent to the graveyard to activate this effect. You can only activate one effect per turn. So, being a trap card fusion is a little annoying, but it does let you fusion summon any dark fusion. Again, Konami trying to kind of future-proof this archetype, kind of like realizing that, like, if we're going to give Dark Lords, like, an extra deck theme, we should make it so that they can summon other guys.
And you know what? This is probably why you see, like, Dark Lord Despia and Brandon, like, because with an in-archetypal fusion that just is Dark Fusion, that hits a ton of the deck, and it's I mean, like if
also
you are
does
Dark
make
Lord
shit
in,
like Starving Venom. Obviously, usually you want like super probably Starving Venom, but still, you can summon it on your own turn.
Dark Fusion is a wide range.
I also have to double check. Yes, obviously he wouldn't come out for a couple of years, but Garura is a Dark Fusion monster. So Garura is a Dark Fusion monster that says two monsters with the same type and attribute with different names. So like, fusion summon one Dark Fusion monster from your extra deck is a very well future-proofed effect. And also, again, it gives you a interesting way to, like, modulate your life points by making it so that, yes, you do have to send a Dark Lord from your hand or face-up field to activate this effect, but you gain back the, like, you know, you gain back the LP to set up for your fusion. So, like, it's not terrible, but it does really feel like, I don't know if it could be the case where, like, obviously this was the same set, you know, the new Dark Lords was Rise of the Duelist when they were releasing, you know, Albaz, right? Which is another, like, Albaz himself facilitates a fusion archetype, including, I think, is Titaniclad a Dark Fusion? Yes. So Titaniclad would be released in this set, for instance. That's Fallen of Albaz plus a monster with 25 or 100 or more. You know, Dark Dragon Fusion. So, like, I don't know if Konami was, like, realizing that, like, on the one hand, they're like, okay, we want to make this new Dark Lord stuff compatible with stuff we have planned for future, but also we have a future push planned for Dark Fusion archetypes, so we don't want to make this new stuff too crazy? Like,
they found a nice, like, in-between where, sure, this card hasn't broken the game yet.
Yeah.
Believe me, a card that says summon a Dark Fusion monster is going to do something, and these Dark Lords will find a way. Like, if they make more Dark Lords, someone will eventually brew a way to make this deck do heinous shenanigans.
Yeah, and honestly, like, if they wanted to make this deck more meta, somebody said in chat talking about, like, well, you know, like, that's more like who this guy is fighting against. That's God's thing, is to negate. It would be very interesting if they did add some more cards to this archetype that had the ability to be, like, you know, even if it's something as simple as, like, your opponent can't activate counter traps, you know, the turn you summon this monster. Or some other, like, way to actually, like, fight back against Solemns. Without being, like, absolutely annoying. Like, obviously, you know, if you were, like, if it was, like, Red Reboot, oh, after you summon this guy, your opponent can activate any trap card effects or effects. That's, you know, probably brutal, but something simple to be like, oh, you can't Solemn Strike this card, you know. Or if you try to negate this card, something happens. So there's a few things.
Set up Archer Christie with Engrave with Brandon. Yeah, so, like, you can do all sorts of shenanigans already with just generic fusion extra archetypes splashed in. So, like, something is here. There is something going on.
There is enough of these guys, and that's another thing that like we've talked about before on Fail Portrayal. You know, we've been doing this for years and years, examining lots of Yu-Gi-Oh archetypes. Sometimes decks do not have enough names. Darklord does not have that problem. Like, honestly, what they probably need more of is probably a little more variety in spell trap effects to make the actual core deck work better. You know, give them more things to do.
I think your base core is already pretty well set up in terms of monsters as a package, and stuff that you can easily splash into on top of like other generic fairy support. Your main linchpin, like you said, like would be your spell and trap lineup for variety and like ways to interact with the board state.
And like maybe at this point, like Yu-Gi-Oh can be. Yu-Gi-Oh's really interesting because like there are some decks that can be slower and more, out there.
What you're
But you
describing
can also do like
is...
higher.
Sorry, Omega.
No, I saw it in chat. I saw it pop up. Go ahead.
What you're describing, Zed, are a suite of are cards they already put in the anime one time that they will not print.
Probably because they're really complicated. I really hope they do print the what is it, Legio? Armatus Legio?
Not the Armatus Legio. No, not those cards.
Not those guys. Who is it? Who's the fucking cards?
Blood Spectre's archetype of cards are monsters that get effects when their summon is attempted to be negated. They go, nuh-uh.
Hey guys, sorry, I gotta
do something for you.
I gotta get going as well.
Oh, okay. That's okay. We're ending the stream soon. Thanks for joining us.
We're wrapping up.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
We're just talking about how they can make Darklords better. Bye, love. But yeah, no, like that's another deck that like I think they haven't printed because that sounds annoying as fuck to like rulings. But they should eventually try just because that's a really interesting thing. Drones, thank you. That's right. It was a drone archetype.
Yeah, the drone archetype would just go, oh, you negated me? Nuh-uh. And it's because he's brothers with the Altergeist player.
Of course,
so
perfect.
He just plays an anti-counter deck.
By the way, I want to say I love that for Yu-Gi-Oh. That's such core Yu-Gi-Oh hater behavior that in a Yu-Gi-Oh universe, oh, my brother plays a deck full of negates, or my sibling plays a deck full of negates. Can't remember if the Altergeist player is male or female, actually. But I've got a sibling who plays a negate deck.
Altergeist player is a girl, older half brother of the Altergeist player.
I'm gonna bully my younger sibling by picking up a deck that counteracts negates. That's funny as fuck. Like, we love that stuff. Also, I mean, the archetype art isn't super crazy, but they are like mechanical things. They're drones, so we could do a little something with that. But yeah, no, what the Darklords like. The Darklords have enough names in main deck and there's enough fairy stuff out there that you can get by with, playing the couple of normal summon names and then a few, like, one or two ofs, just enough different names to fill them out. Obviously, 3 of your best ones, like probably like 3 Ixchel, just because, again, she's discarded Darklord card to draw 2. Like, this deck doesn't hurt for like, consistency, Like, the main thing is just... without Capricious's effect, you don't really have a good setup going first because you don't really want to summon Lucifer into an empty board, But with Capricious, you could like set up Capricious and a lot of plays so that you summon Morningstar on your opponent's turn when they've got a bunch of guys. You can have, active effects to like control their plays. So it's got some room. I think there's room for them to print some new names, obviously. But probably Spell Trap is where they need to be at. Just, they've got most of the stuff. Let's see.
I can definitely
see
more monsters being created to slot into, like kind of replacing your in-betweener cards.
Yeah.
But majoritarily, I think best way you do is improve these is giving them, like, big, more wombo combo kind of spell and trap cards. Like, we have a lot of good effects going on. I wouldn't say any of them are bad. It's more just we need
it's
like
very 2016 card design where like this was a duelist pack, not a deck build pack. But you see in a lot of like packs where Konami is like, we are introducing a brand new archetype or overhauling an old archetype where like all the spell traps say a lot of the same stuff. Summon a guy from hand, pop a card, search a card, negate one effect monster. Though Sanctified is certainly, like, because it lets you gain LP, is, like, the most chaotic. But, like, those are all, like, really normal spell trap effects. So, like, what you would want is, like you said, weirder stuff. Like, just, I don't even know, like, what would be the weirdest case. I mean, I guess it would be, like, do funny stuff to, like, floodgate your opponent. Like, imagine if you could do a Darklord card to force an opponent to special summon a monster from their hand, but its effects are negated, kind of a thing, so that you can get effect monsters on board, as opposed to, like, give them a link material, like, make them waste something. Could be very funny. Or just, like we said, like, just removal options besides, pop one.
I mean, I think a really funny option could just be. I struggled. They probably won't go this route, because if they do, you almost certainly run the risk of creating some kind of degenerate strategy. But maybe, like, a way to put a token on, like, some kind of, like, monster onto the opponent's board that can't be used as material for something for a turn.
Yeah, just like your opponent can't use this token as material. Also, I think just, like, again, you want to be careful, because on her own, Nurse Burn can be a really good rogue strat, but she's not good now. If they kind of, like, doubled back into that, where if, like, maybe you released new spell traps that have a quote-unquote cost that give your opponent LP, so there's a reason to play Reficule in the rest of the Darklords. Even if it's just, chipping away at their life points, like, 500 at a time to, like, go for time, could work as kind of a slow burn strat. Because they're all, like, once per turn effects, and you have to pay LP, so, like, if you made it so that, like, you at most burned your opponent for 500, I don't think you could physically activate enough cards in a turn with their shuffle back effect to, like, FTK. But it's the kind of thing that would, like, whittle away at your opponent, Also, honestly, like, the chat talked about, like, give them a link one that searches a field spell kind of a thing to, like, get around hand traps, or get, if your opponent, like, Valors your big summon, you have something to do to extend that doesn't require 2 monsters. Just giving them an archetypal field spell, even if it's just a, like, dark version of Sanctuary in the Sky kind of a thing.
They definitely have a place for it, because, like, they don't have any big field spell options, so they always could just go, like, the Rescue Ace mentality of just make a field spell that fixes everything. Well,
yeah,
not fixed, like...
honestly, yeah, that's right. I was gonna say this earlier. The classic of just, obviously they have alternate ways to tribute summon, but just give them an extra normal summon on the field spell. That's a card that's on a shitload of field spells and doesn't break the game.
Yeah, I mean, like,
if you have to make it like only the Darklords get the extra normal, or maybe Dark Fairies get an extra normal.
Or only fairies, because, like, worst case scenario you do is you end up, like, with a Valhalla situation.
Yeah.
Where between Valhalla and this field spell, fairies can just do a ton of new summons, but also,
who cares?
I doubt it would outright. Yeah, like they're
especially within the TCG explicitly Apo banned. Like, there's no. You can't end the game with just a shitload of materials on turn 1, right? You can't end the game with a shitload of materials on turn 2, because you can go into access code, but then also your opponent presumably has plays if it's turn 2, So giving you something to, like, summon more cards, get more material is not terrible. And just also, like we said, more extra deck monsters, like, just give them a 2-mat fusion as, like, an extender?
Yeah, give them, like, Metal Foes style, like you just give them more semi-generic options.
Actually, honestly, going literally Metal Foes style, give them a card that, like, a fusion that has a shuffle back effect, to shuffle monsters back maybe, wouldn't be terrible. Because this deck does a lot of, like, binning and recycling, but you don't really recycle monsters. Like, legitimately, actually, with so much send to graveyard, like, their monster effects to, like, bin, and you can summon some of them out, but, like, this might be a deck that legitimately might want to play something like Pot of Avarice, Like, you just get 5 Darklord names in the graveyard, shuffle that shit back, go again.
Yeah,
like,
probably.
So, just make a fusion that does that. Maybe it's, like, small, like, shuffle back 3 Darklord names to, like, draw 1 card, or obviously you could...
sort of.
Yeah. Also, you could literally make it Mithrilium, shuffle 2 back to bounce 1 card your opponent controls. Mithrilium is a card that's annoying as hell.
Even just make it a spell and trap card, so you get a spell and trap card, you can that like shuffles 3 back and also shuffling it back with a Darklord effect, which would be really funny.
Like just because that's the thing. This is a deck that has a pretty good resource loop. The main thing is just that like we said, the deck itself lacks a really like killer condition. The best way is probably like if you like summon Lucifer to summon a shitload of Darklords. So that you have a bunch of beaters, and then you go into first Darklord with Morningstar, so you blow up your opponent's board and then swing for game. But that's like a multi-step combo that involves a lot of summoning and a lot of effect activation to just pray that you can OTK. So
there's no proper player interaction happening that I would say ensures a victory.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that we've talked about a lot on Failed Portrayals, that is like, this is what kills Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks the most. If there's not a good line that results in winning the game. You can have the tightest resource loose in the universe, you can have the biggest, scariest boss monster, but he's still a conditional board wipe and is only non-targetable, and is also a 4K asshole. So, like, you still have to swing twice with him to win, right? If you don't have any other guys on board, even if you blow up the whole board. And you have to have a battle phase, so you have to be doing it on at least turn 2. So that means that you have to like chew through all your opponent's stuff and then swing for game.
Your opponent's getting plenty of options to snap back, which isn't a bad thing. And because there are so many decks that do that like a good example would be Ryziel. Like, Ryziel isn't designed to win a game in one turn, but doesn't have to because it's just going to do its big combo every single turn, and you can't do anything about it.
Ryziel is a deck that runs through its combo to summon a bunch of rank 4s, and then also their specific rank 4s and their like back row have disruption, so that when you build the board with Ryziel, you take apart your opponent's plays as they play them, or if you're going second, you build the board as Ryziel and dismantle their board so you can swing for game. Whether it's, now or later. Darklord is kind of like a thing where, like, I guess their most optimal play is to, like, make Darklord, like, summon Morningstar, summon a bunch of Darklords, make first Darklord, like, in the middle of your opponent's combo or after they've set up their whole board, or they're just about to set up their, like, finisher, blow up their board, and then just pray they don't get any extension off that destruction to build their board again, so that you can swing for game with, like, 2 or 3 other big Darklords. And, like, even by 2020 standards, but especially by 2025 standards, that's asking a lot. You are asking basically for your opponent to have no follow-up after you do a board wipe, and then you also have to have at least a couple of guys, because the biggest their non-extra deck monsters get is, like, 3K. You need to have a couple of them also on board with first Darklord to actually punch in for game. And basically, like, your opponent doesn't do anything. And it's like, by 2025 standards especially, that's asking a lot. You are asking for, like, the perfect setup that your opponent is, like, so fragile that one board wipe kills them. And also, it's not bad that it's just 3, Dark Fairies as mats, but also, like, that's 3 Dark Fairies as mats for a card that you can just play Lightning Storm to get half of, Like, you could just play generic board breakers and break their board anyway. So, yeah.
I mean...
It just, to me, like, it feels like a deck that just doesn't have quite enough clinch, which is not, like, wrong. It's just one of those things where, like, we're looking for that. Oh, also, yes, Chad is also saying, this is a deck that involves mass summoning a lot of cards. You have to pray that your opponent does not have a nib at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Basically, in general, this deck absolutely eats shit to hand traps, which is why it's very funny that a lot of their new support came out in 2020, which is like, I feel like that's the year when we really started to be like, no, you need hand traps. Like, that's when, like, Ash had obviously been out for a couple of years, all the other Ghost Girls, but I feel like that was the game design of, like, no, you're gonna be playing 3 Ash, and, like, Veiler started to come back.
Hand Trap stopped being just a thing they did and became a game design.
Like, I think Nibiru itself is, like, a late 2019 card.
I think so.
Yeah, so, like 2020, I think, is when the game design was really, like, decks that were good have responses to hand traps because you know they're going to be everywhere.
God damn it. I always forget things are real. I just look up Nibiru and I'm like, oh, right, this is a thing people talk about.
Yeah, Nibiru is named after a fucking New Age bullshit
Apocalypse Planet thing.
Yeah.
It was the 2019 Gold Sark 10s.
Yeah, so it was the 2019 tin card, so it was reprinted in 2020, in other things. So, like,
Tournament Pack, Gold Series.
That's kind of the thing that, like, Darklord still doesn't really do, is, like, yes, you can kind of get around stuff with, like, having spell cards in graveyard, but, like, what if you don't have a good card in hand to activate, so your opponent just, like, ashes the search off of, Banishment of the Darklords or something, and then you're like, well, that was my one search. I guess that's why What's-Her-Face is good. Indulge Darklord. She gives you a second search just in case you get ashed.
Yeah, so I would say, well, this is unfortunate timing of game design. Like we mentioned this earlier. The once per special summon clause on all like the old, like the 2016 Darklords just murks them. If like, God help you if you get nabbed, your turn's just over. Like, sure, you can recover, and like I'm sure the deck can recover from places, and the deck needs more recovery. But if your big summon gets stopped, you're restricted from doing it again. You can't do it.
Well, and also somebody in chat brought up, is there a Morganite that gives extra summons? Yeah, but you don't actually want to play a Morganite in this deck because a lot of your Darklords, a lot of the newer ones, have hand effects. They have effects in hand to discard themselves on Darklord cards to do stuff, which is, like, important because you want to cycle your spells and traps and your monsters into the graveyard. So, like, you would want to be careful about playing a Morganite run. Just to get, like, more normal summons, It's an idea. There's probably a version of the deck out there. But, yeah, this is a deck that's, like we said, it just kind of, like, feels a little out of its time even by 2020. And then, obviously, what that means by the time you go literally 5 years later, you're like, oh, well, yeah, I guess if they, like, do their combo perfectly and you don't remember what a single Darklord card does, which was me earlier in the stream, like, reading the 2016s, I was like, oh, this thing they do where they shuffle back spell traps, I completely forgot that was the thing they did. Because all I remember is fucking first Darklord Turbo. Like, I just remember that. Like, that's really interesting. But then when we get to the end, you go, okay, that's really interesting, but they don't have enough spell trap names. They literally have, like, 6 names, I think. One of those is the fusion spell.
And all of them,
one of those,
I would say,
one of them
good.
is Darklord Descent, which is a good card, but that's the one that's super conditional. Because you need to your opponent needs to control a monster. Also, Darklord Descent does cost half your LP, which obviously we know only the last LP matters, but you are playing a life point pay deck. So that can be rough as well. So, like, that's just, we need some more names, Give them a field spell that does some stuff, like maybe, maybe add specifically another spell trap on activation rather than a monster, because they've got a lot of ways to do that. Give them an extra normal.
I mean, you know what they always say, give them a skill drain.
Yeah. Maybe don't do that because we hate that, but
Probably shouldn't do that one.
Give them a what's the one that negates all monster effects in hand? Mind Drain.
Mind Drain actually would be funny.
Well, that's honestly, Konami needs to stop making rogue decks have skill drains. Give them more like Mind Drain or Soul Drain effects. Make them negate effects in graveyard or hand while they're face up on the field, kind of a thing. Graveyard obviously can be a little annoying because we've just killed Abyss Dweller, but Abyss Dweller is also a lingering floodgate effect, which is annoying. But, like, that can really fuck with a lot of decks, but still would leave you space to, like, play most of your turn, But also, like, give the field spell a recovery effect to, like, if it's in the graveyard, let it, like, shuffle a couple of cards back, not to put itself in the deck, but to like place itself back up on the field, kind of a thing. That could be very funny. Cycle your field spell, shuffle back. That's really all they need. Is like they don't even need to like have a way to stop Nibiru. If they had a way to instantly go like, oh, you've tributed my entire board, I have a recovery phase, right? Like it won't be as good, but I can like completely set up so I'm not dead and can do my combo again, kind of a thing. Like that's really what this deck needs, is like resiliency to like, you know. Yeah, maybe an in-archetype, just all monsters or all spell traps would be good. I would probably say spell traps, because usually that's less annoying and also more useful. Then again, maybe the TCG doesn't agree with me. We still, I don't think, have unbanned Heavy over here. Heavy is at 1 in Master Duel and is not killing anybody. And I think Feather Duster's still at 1. Whereas Raigeki is like at 3.
Spell trap removal is something very finicky in the TCG. Like, so in the same way that like all those random little like I think End of the World is still at 2 or something in the OCG for no like it's not doing anything, but it's just like
it's just one of those things where like if you just let people play 3 Feather Duster, 3 Heavy Storm, 3 Lightning Storm, like, you'd never have any back row deck again, because that would just be the sideboard, would just be all the cards that delete back row. So it's like, you need a little bit of back row removal, because we have not banned every single floodgate. But you can't have too much, because then back row decks can't play.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very it's a back and forth of kind of,
God
it's
knows.
a back and forth situation.
God knows I've played enough Labyrinth games in Master Duel where I've, like, you know, fucking done my favorite combo, set 4, and then my opponent's first move is, cool, 1 of Feather Duster, and I'm just like, okay, all right, I didn't realize my opponent was chosen by God. Okay. I mean, Heavy Storm also lets you pop your own spell traps, but like I said, it's at 1 in Master Duel, and I think also at 1 in the OCG. That's, like, not lethal. Because, yes, occasionally that means you can, like, turn it into an advantage, but also does still mean as much that, like, if you draw into it after you've already set up your back row pieces that you need, it's not as good. Like, it's still enough of a detriment, whereas, like, if you had 3 Heavy Storm, you could probably run a self-destruction turbo deck that something bad would happen. Like, if you could consistently count on Heavy Storm, that would be different. But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's very interesting, and I think a lot about where the design phase is going. What I want to see out of more decks in general, I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again to kind of code the stream, because we haven't even hit 3 hours, which is okay. I'm okay with that. I got more 14 stuff to go unlock, but
I have more 14 to finish.
Yeah, you gotta finish Dawn Trail. I'm trying to unlock the new patch content, but like to kind of put an end note on it. The thing I think that's most interesting about what they did with Tearlaments is kind of the turn 0 design. You know, where, like, Havnus and Merly and stuff, like, even if your opponent's going first, you can still start to build your board on turn 1. While also obviously giving you plays if you're still going first naturally. That's the kind of stuff I want to see more out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, because that's where, like, the dichotomy between going first and going second is so striking, especially obviously in Master Duel where it's best of 1, but still in TCG and OCG where it's best of 3 sometimes. Like... And I've talked about before how I've kind of, like, bell-curved on hand traps. At first, like most players, when I got back in like, 2020, I was like, oh, Ash Blossom and Infinite Impermanence end my whole fucking turn? That sucks. That's bullshit. I don't get to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Then you kind of go to the middle where you're like, oh, wait, no, I see the design. There are some decks that if they were allowed to activate unchallenged, just win the game instantly. So you need interaction going second. Otherwise, you're playing into your opponent's full board, and that also sucks. And now I've wrapped around the other end where I'm like, I understand intellectually that we require Ash Blossoms and Veilers and Imperms and, like, Mulch Armies. I hate having to build decks playing, like, 10 hand traps because I've talked before about drawing the, what I've heard MBT and I think Danny LVK call the Balatro-S hand. I've drawn 3 Imperm on going first on turn 1. Shit sucks. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to play that many Imperms.
this kind of ties. I guess we'll have this will tie to our Magic discussion at the beginning, because we will likely be reviewing a bunch of random little Magic the Gathering cards next week, or in a few in a few
weeks. Like I said, we'll figure out when we'll schedule it. But yeah, that should be a few weeks
but
down the line.
This is like the same discussion I saw happening with my little group of friends playing Magic. Of like, I fucking hate Soul Ring, dude. Like, no, like this card sucks, and it's like, well, yeah, but it does help decks. And like, it's just seeing the spread of opinions that is just the entire discussion of like hand traps and any other like card in that vein of like.
I mean, that's basically the Max C conversation, right? Of like, oh well, Max C helps rogue decks, and it's like, yeah, it helps rogue decks, but also it fucking sucks.
Yeah, because if you don't know, chat, Soul Ring.
Yeah, I just pull it up. Right. God, I don't know shit about like current Magic. I've read this card. I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah, no. A Soul Ring is a card that is a 1-drop, just one colorless drop. Like you just need 1 mana. That's all. A Soul Ring taps to add 2 colorless mana.
That's
so turn 1. Play
in
land,
Magic terms,
land. Soul Ring tap. I play a 2-drop.
That's basically like this is actually genuinely, I think, the Magic equivalent of Pot of Greed. Because yes, it's like you go a total of +1, but the cost to go +1 is the easiest thing in the universe.
Yeah. It's just one
like,
of those.
Damn.
And for a commander playground, which is a Highlander, by the way. Like if people don't know, Commander is a Highlander format where it's a 100-card deck. 99 card deck of one-ofs and your one commander that is like separate from the deck. If you find this card, like everyone plays it because it's just accepted as part of the world. If you find this in your commander deck, you've instantly ramped. Like any deck can play it. Doesn't have to be like the green color that ramps. It allows. Oh, like are you playing like a blue-red like a spell sling? This just gives you free mana to play with and shit.
Yeah. And like that is the kind of like discussion that I know MBT's had at least one video about, maybe more Twitter thread videos about like load-bearing cards. Yeah, because it's like right now I think Ash Blossom is a load-bearing card because like so many cards have been designed to get around it, but there may be a day when like to simplify the game state, they have to ban Ash Blossom, just because we've talked about that I think last week. Ash is so weird with like the many different things she triggers on. Because it's like add a card from hand to deck, send a card from deck to graveyard. Is it also special summon from deck?
Sorry, the Soul Ring in the FF precons is an Aetherite.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did put it in there. Yeah, that is. I remember that alt art. That is very cute. Yeah.
No, like Soul Ring is basically an auto include in every precon now. Like most precons, like you're gonna have like 20 cards that are all like you're gonna have like your handful of like just your signets. That is like a 2-drop artifact that is a pay 1 mana, make 2 of any like a color combo of like all the 10 combos. There's one. And
honestly, like Yu-Gi-Oh has kind of the same thing where like these days, like Ash Blossom, Raigeki, Imperm are like, because it's funny. Yu-Gi-Oh is a format that allows you to play more than one of each name, but structure decks usually include only 1, maybe 2 copies of like a really core card. So like you will find a 1 of Imperm, a 1 of Ash, and a shitload of decks. I think I remember from the new season of Broke Boys, the Broke Boys bought a lot of extra Ash Blossoms because it got reprinted in the Blue Eyes structure deck.
Yeah, like here's just like the signets for the 10 color combos, which like they're all the exact same card, just they have
different
only
names.
Thing
they do 2 different combos of
yeah, and like these names now basically define the color combo. Like, oh, if you're playing like green blue, oh, it's Simic. Okay. Like, oh, you're playing blue red, you're playing Izzet. You're Boros, like you can just say this guild name, and it's shorthand for your color combo. Which they even have the same thing with like the tricolors. You have shards and wedges. It's fucking weird. It's wild. It's wild how well they've able to to kind of define specific play styles of color combos in Magic. I think
honestly, that's the thing I've always really respected about Magic, but I continue to respect about Magic is they've obviously had I think 10 more years than Yu-Gi-Oh to nail it down. They're like a 30-year-old card game or 35-year-old card game, but they really have nailed down this color wheel and color identity shit. They're like, nope, we figured it out. We figured out how it works, and we figured out what happens when we not just monocolor, but also when we bring 2 or more colors together. We figured it, and we will stick to it. Yeah, it's like, no, that works.
An example of the 2 that I have right now, and we'll probably end. I assume we're ending the stream here, but just one more little yap fest. I have 2 precons that I bought. One is blue, red, white. That is Jeskai, and that's also what that color is color combo is referred to as. The other one is white, black, and green, which is Abzan, and those are tribes within a set of Magic the Gathering, like a world where there are 5 tribes that are the 5 tricolor combos.
But yeah, and yes, like I said, I've been talking about it, but to put another context on it, because before we play our Sunday game is the only time of the week I get to talk to Dallas. That's basically the only time of the week he's free is when he shows up to play our tabletop RPG. Dallas has been, like I mentioned at the start, I'll have to see if I can nail him down on Tuesday maybe. He has actually been playing the current, couple of runs of Magic and has been following the FF stuff. But, even before we do Reign, our tabletop game, every week we're talking for 10 or 15 minutes about the Final Fantasy stuff because the design of the cards and the art of the cards is all super interesting and cool.
Why am I seeing Hatsune Miku with the Soul Ring?
Did they do a Hatsune Miku crossover?
What? This can't be real. Secret layer drop? Wait.
No, that means it's real.
Secret layer,
dude.
Secret layer drop 1604. Wait, what? What is this?
Also, white, black, blue, I think works for Y'shtola. It's a little funny to me the way Magic in FF works, where
it's real.
I think Blizzard is white. Ice Magic, they call it. Oh yeah, there's apparently 6 Hatsune Miku collab secret lair arts.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll talk about all the FF stuff because, like I said, the art design is really good, and also the card design is pretty good. Obviously, it's a shit. They're filling out a whole booster and commander and everything set with them, so they've got to have pack filler. Some of them are trash.
The Y'shtola precon immediately looks like one of my favorites. It's got a lot. Its gimmick seems to be legendary creatures, which is very funny for a commander.
Yeah, and also obviously works for 14, especially.
Yeah, you basically just have all of the scions are here, a handful of villains, and things in between. You have Ardbert, Emmett's there. It's you. Papalimo's in the deck too. Remember Papalimo? Remember when
Boy,
he was a character?
I do. And then I think I have to double check the list, but I think the 7 one is Cloud's thing is usually all about equips.
Yeah. I had the list to pull up. I didn't glance through all of them. Yeah, because we have.
I don't remember if they're releasing some FF12 cards that are good for Commander, but I don't know if they're making a precon deck because they're only making 4.
Because you got Cloud as one of them, which has haste, attach equipment when it enters, draws a card for each equipped to your attacking creature. He spawns stuff. You also have Tifa as the alt commander, which is just another power 7 integrator. It's gonna do some shenanigans. There's a ton of I'm just kind of glancing through all of the random. There's a ton of equipment in this deck. So yeah.
I will say I do really like the thing they did with some of the iconic equipment. I know a lot of the 14 stuff did this, where the equipment itself creates a like 1/1 hero token that you then equip it to, and they become the job because they gain a subtype. Like if you equip ninja weapons, you become a ninja.
The 14 equipment, like the 14 equipment is really fun playing that way. Yeah.
To just be like a cute like, oh well, you know, Warriors of Light, and then of course Graha summons a shitload of Warrior of Light tokens. It's cool. They know what they're doing, which is why we have to talk about this shit, because it's like...
There is a one card, I'm trying to find it, Champions from Beyond.
Yeah.
Which just like, which is, if you attack with 4, you scry 2 and draw. If you attack with 8, all those creatures get +4/+4. Those creatures get empowered.
If you don't know, chat, from the way that works, in 14, 4-mans is a light party for a duty, 8-man is full party. So the subtext on the card is called light party when you've got the 4, and if it's 8, it's full party. And I'm like, this is brilliant. I love this.
Oh, right. So, Good King Mogglemogs in the Y'shtola deck, too.
Yeah, they've picked summons from, like, everywhere, too. Ugh. All right, okay. My shoulder's starting to bother me sitting up in the chair, so we will wind up the stream. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and if you like this kind of like weird aside FF/MTG yap, we're gonna bring it back. Again, don't know exactly when we'll schedule it, but we'll work it out. Like I said, if I can grab Dallas, I will. But obviously, if we can't, we can't. Dallas, I don't know if he is schedulable other than for Sunday nights, so we'll figure it out. But I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And if you like specifically the FF14 stuff, we're going to be back tomorrow. I'm going to run through the new Hildebrand quests, and also we're going to jump in the new field ops. So tune in. Night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
All right.